What's up, RotoGrinders? Dean here, Dean78904. That is my daily fantasy handle. You can follow me on the old Twitter at DFS_almanac. Joined today, I feel like we don't have this combination terribly often. Joined today by, returning champion is TJ. TJ's Worch. TJ_Worch5. If you want to get all technical on the old Twitter machine. TJ, you hit your Spidey bomb, or Spidey hit a Spidey bomb yesterday, so you got the invite back. Welcome back. How's the old hump day working out for you? How's Wednesday treating you?
So far, so good. I got some early screeners for the new Star Wars show Andor, so I'm going to be watching that after this. I'm excited about that, but that's later. For now, excited to talk about this baseball slate. We got a fun one today.
I saw a commercial for it, and I'm like, I don't know. I mean, I know there's and I'm just ignorant person that doesn't know much about Star Wars. I'm aware, like I know who the green guy is. I've seen Spaceballs. Like I know the gist. I know most of the characters, right? Who's Andor? Is Andor a person? Is that a city? I have no idea what I saw like Andor. I'm like, what's Andor? We need another one of these shows?
He's a person. Have you seen Rogue One?
No, I'm aware of it, but I haven't. Is that Natalie Portman, maybe?
No, that's no, she was Padme. That's she was a person. But Rogue One is a movie in the Star Wars franchise, and this is a prequel series to that.
All right, fair enough. Are we excited, Blunder, about are you into this world? Do you watch every single, because you got to be pot committed the way I understand it. There's 9 movies. They started out 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then 1, 2, 3. Was that the proper order as far as the release? Did I get that correct there, TJ?
There's 4, 5, 11 6? Movies, but 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 7, 8, 9.
And then so when the last two? And then 10, 11? I thought those were independent. Like Solo.
Rogue One and Solo are prequels.
Okay.
Still part of the thing, though.
Dude, you know that the GIF from It's Always Sunny with the belt, the chart and the. I need that explained to me that way, because it seems like it's a lot to keep up with. How about yourself, Blunder? Are you into this world? Because again, you got to either in or you're out. There's a lot to keep up with.
I'm into that. It's like I am like for wrestling. It's the same. To me, it's the same type of. It's a type of thing. If you're into the Marvel universe, if you're into DC Comics and all of the storylines and all the everything combined, I get the obsession, but it's very similar to wrestling.
If you're going to
promotions and timelines and everything like that, so like I'm not into that. I don't even remember the last time I saw a Marvel movie, but at least I get it.
Yeah, you're a Star Trek guy, aren't you?
Yeah, but I mean, once whoever the hell took over the series, whatever, I forgot.
The guy from Lost, right?
No, that they rebooted Star Trek. Remember?
Wow.
I forgot who, and I was done. Once they're like, okay, we're gonna make it so that Vulcan exploded or something. I'm done.
Dude,
I'm
spoilers, Splendor. How long has it been since the Vulcan exploded?
That movie came out like 12, 13 years ago. Come on.
I have no idea. I don't know. The Vulcan is the ship, I imagine, right? Is that
Vulcan is a planet?
Oh, okay. Context.
Live long and prosper.
Yeah. That's what Spock does, right? Is that his thing?
Right.
There you go. And there's big rivalries when you get together, or the conventions, the Star Wars people and then the Star Trek people. They don't like each other. It's my understanding. TJ, is this kind of sort of somewhat true? Or am I just making stuff up?
I don't know. I like to enjoy things, and I like when other people enjoy things too.
Yeah, that's pretty. Yeah, but what's the fun in that though? Like you can't go on First Take and say that for 2 hours straight. That's not it. I don't want to watch that conversation. I want to watch two people argue about two things that don't matter. No, I don't want to watch that either. Actually. All right. What's up, chat? I see the chat's chiming in. AEW. Blender, you're an AEW guy. Is that your favorite?
Primarily, yeah. I went to the last 2 pay-per-views, Las Vegas and Chicago.
Chicago's like their home base, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much.
That's my understanding. I catch things peripherally. And who would be in the Star Wars world? Like, who's the CM Punk comp? Because there's
Luke Skywalker. Who else would it be?
I don't know, man.
More Han Solo.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, you're right. He's probably more Han Solo.
Explain that. Why is he more of a Han Solo? Because like
the rebel type, right? I'm not big into Star Wars. I could relate it to Star Trek, maybe.
Yeah, the more the rebel type.
Right.
All right. And I saw Triple H is now like the main guy at WWE. Can you confirm this, Blunder? Is that right? Am I reading things correctly?
He's the head of creative, head of talent relations, and that product has actually gotten decently better in the past month.
There you go. Look at you. WrestleMania, I believe, was in LA upcoming. Are you going to take the trip? Are we making the road trip, Blender? I see.
No, I went to
I
went to WrestleMania in Dallas this past year as my bucket list type of thing. I went to both nights of WrestleMania, went to Raw and SmackDown, the Hall of Fame, everything like that. I don't know if I'll ever give WWE any more my money. So I did the WrestleMania thing. I went to the Royal Rumble. I'm not a big fan of the stadium shows. Stadium shows, like, the sound just like goes straight up, and the place is just too big. So, like, even decent seats are expensive, and then, like, if you're on the floor, you can't see anything. I'm not a big fan of the stadium shows. I prefer big arenas rather than stadiums.
Yeah, it's not intimate. It's a big spectacle, but it's not intimate enough. Is that the issue?
Well, yeah, because the sound doesn't feel like when the crowd goes wild, like 80,000 people going wild is a lot of people, but the sound goes straight up.
I feel like I talked about this with you before. Didn't you used to, like in the 90s, go to those completely insane ECW shows?
Yep. ECW at the Bingo Hall, the Elks Lodge in Queens. Went to the original first Ring of Honor shows. I saw CM Punk in Ring of Honor. I didn't even realize who the hell it was. Just some new guy, right? He was on a card. I don't even remember it. Samoa Joe back then. And then I just got out of wrestling for like 15 years. And then COVID, there was nothing else to do. There were no sports on. So I'm like, I'll get the WWE Network. Let's see what's gone on the past 15 years.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you what brought you back, but I guess boredom more than you needed some sort of
pretty much boredom. What else am I going to do?
Well, you don't even watch the sports though, do you? You don't. Well, you watch your soccer.
Well, what am I? I can't play DFS. Like, what am I doing? I'm not. There's no shows for us to do, right? What?
Yeah.
What am I going to do? Watch the COVID broadcasts and the press conferences all day?
I watched the little like 3 a.m. KBO with like Boog Shambi on his couch or something like that. Hey, it was interesting, I suppose, for what it was, but I'm happy we're no longer doing that. It's an 8 gamer today. We're taking you guys straight up the lock. We're going to hand it off the Crunch Time crew. Of course, you got 2+ hours, 8 games, plenty of time to talk through this slate. Kind of a straightforward slate from a pitching perspective. We'll talk about that in a second. Whatever's on chat's mind, by all means, fire it off, throw it out there. See a lot of the regulars, Don Yeezy and Mitchell Richard and KC. KC went to WrestleMania at 7 years old. Must have been spectacular at 7. I imagine that's when it's probably most fun. Let's see what else is going. Yeah. So Michael's saying I'm losing credibility every day. I lose credibility for more things. Not knowing Star Wars, more credibility lost on my end. It's been a rough week for your boy, unfortunately. But I don't know how to pronounce the guy who just got called up for Texas, Young. I got it now. I'm on top of it, and he keeps doing well. Good for him. Big time prospect. He's worth a look on this slate. We'll talk about them soon enough. But yeah, Blender, is this a play whoever you want slate? I guess they're all play whoever you want slates, according to you, I suppose. Pretty straightforward. You want to give me the screenshot, the 30,000-foot view, however you want to say it, of this slate. What are you looking at?
Well, I mean, I'm going through my tools right now. The new tools you could find at theoryofdfs.com. They're a perfect complement to Lineup HQ and the RotoGrinders projections. And I'm going through with the bat projections and seeing what some of the better lineups look like, what we're getting more of, what players are more correlated to other players. So you kind of don't play those players together. It looks like the chalk at pitcher is going to be David Peterson, 49% projected owned. He fits into. I mean, I've ran 300 lineups with some diversity, some stacked configurations, and I'm getting 98% of them. So yeah, I may have a lot of Peterson.
Are you shortening that? Like, as a general thought, like outside of this slate, Peterson is not somebody I think is like great chalk. But then, when you say, okay, I'm not going to play the chalk, who are you going to pivot to? And that's where you stumble a little bit, especially on DK. We got a roster 2. Corbin Burns, the best pitcher on this slate, the biggest K rate on this slate. Right behind him is Peterson. Peterson's got the second best K rate, the second lowest Sierra. Good matchup, good ballpark. But like traditionally, he's not somebody that like you want to roster at 60% or whatever it is. I'm pulling it up now. I'm getting my lineup HQ. I'm hitting the refresh button to see where we're at. But that's kind of what I was looking at earlier today. But again, that's the question, Blender. It's like, all right, if we're not going to play him, who are we going to play? And I
got guys. I mean, okay. I'm playing 5 lineups today on DraftKings.
Confidently?
What?
confidently? You said you got some guys. How confident? Give me throw it
I'm
in.
never confident in any guys. I don't play confidently. I play confident that I can build plus EV lineups.
Yeah.
I don't know what the hell's going to happen today. I'm never confident what's going to happen.
Well, you felt good about DeGrom being good yesterday, right? Like, you
Did you need it at whatever his 8 million price tag it was? I mean, it did not necessarily.
Price didn't matter. The price didn't matter.
I'm still a little bitter about that yesterday because I did end up hitting the lock button on DeGrom, and the two people on GrindersLive I said that I was going to pivot to if I wasn't going to play DeGrom was going to be Yu Darvish and Joe Ryan. And those were the two guys who ended up outperforming him. So I was upset I hit the lock button on him, but I kind of feel like I'm just going to run it back today.
Did you watch the game by chance, TJ? Because I think, I'm not sure if they changed the official scoring or not, but DeGrom really got shafted on a couple of those earned runs. Like, it was some weird, like a fielder's choice. A player dropped out a bunt and he got hit while he was in the baseline, but all four umpires missed it, and it's not a reviewable play. So that they couldn't review it and say the batter's out, but the batter should have been out because he's clearly in the baseline by like a foot. And there was like several other bunts and an 0-2 count. The guy bunted with the first and third. His defense let him down, basically, and some weird stuff happened on fielder's choices. But I think they still gave him 3 earned runs unless it changed. Whatever. It doesn't matter. Everybody had him anyway. But I guess Darvish did eke him out. And, of course, Ryan threw a no-hitter for 7 innings. Did they ever get the no-hitter? They didn't, right? I feel like I would have heard if they did.
No. Casey started hitting some runs on the relievers once they started going out there. But I actually kind of feel differently than you do today in terms of I do like some of the pivots. However, I actually just feel like it's really good chalk. Like the Mets ballpark is obviously a good pitching ballpark. It's 100% right-handed lineup today, and he's a bit of a reverse splitsy guy. He doesn't strike out quite as many righties, but he only gives up 35% hard hit rate, which isn't too bad, isn't too great. But when 50% of them are ground balls, that's pretty darn nice. And so I like Peterson a lot today because only 2 of the players in the Cubs lineup aren't ground ball hitters, and only 2 players in the Cubs lineup have under a 25% strikeout rate. So I think Peterson's great chalk, and that's kind of why I don't want to pivot off of him today.
Yeah, I mean, I'm playing a bunch of them too. I just, as a general thought, though, like Peterson's not a guy who's typically going to be, well, we have him at 33% ownership according to the Play IQ on DK. I think it's going to be higher than that. I strongly disagree with this. You tell me otherwise, TJ. Or I guess, Blender, you're playing on DK more, so I imagine, TJ, you're playing some more FanDuel. Blender, do you agree with this ownership? Maybe I got the wrong read
ownership
here.
on who?
We, as of right now, and this stuff changes, and I don't have the, Cardi's ownership. I have the Play IQ stuff up. DK, we got 49%, 50% for Burns. Okay, sure, I get it. We'll talk about it. You have the money for it, not the greatest matchup, but who else are you going to play? Highest upside, yada, yada. We got Sonny Gray at 38% and Peterson at 33%. I think that's wrong. That's got to be wrong. Tell me I'm wrong.
I don't know. I mean, I'm using the bat ownership. I think Peterson is overwhelmingly the chalk. I don't necessarily think Burns. I mean, Burns will be the second highest owned. I think number 1 is Peterson. Then there's a gap. Then Burns. Then Gray. Then Dunning. And then maybe Wainwright. And then Patrick Corbin, 5,300.
Yeah.
Maybe to survive Patrick Corbin. I may play a lineup with Patrick Corbin.
You can have that. You can have your Patrick Corbin.
There's enough cheap bats in lineups today that you could obviously fit Peterson and Burns together. But a lot of people will be doing that. So, like, I'm looking to get away from that a little bit. It depends. I'm also in the bat getting a lot of Diamondback stacks. So looking at the Diamondbacks against Michael Grove, they have a 4.27 implied run total. And, I mean, it's not like they're that cheap even. Rojas, Varsho, McCarthy, Walker. I mean, these are guys that are 4K range. But the bat projects them pretty well. So based on their ownership, I mean, if I could fit in Peterson and Burns and a Diamondback stack, which I don't expect to be very high owned. I think McCarthy as a one-off will be a little bit owned at 3,600. But yeah, I'm just going through the bat projections, and I'm just like, I have to stop it from getting a lot of that Dodgers Diamondbacks game on both sides, the Dodgers as well as the Diamondbacks. And that's why I'm not really even getting that much of Corbin. I ran 300 lineups. I'm only getting 7% Corbin. This is using some amount of diversity.
Yeah.
But because like who are you paying up for? Like if you want a full, like here's a lineup I have: Corbin, Peterson, but I got Will Smith, Freeman, Betts, Muncy, and Turner. Right? So like you have like 5K guys in the Dodgers stack. Like Corbin would be useful in those types of lineups, but of course that means you also have to sweat Patrick Corbin, which is not
not a fun sweat. At least you'll know.
Getting my Atlanta out.
At least you'll know where you stand, right? Pretty early, I think, if you got some Corbin. And I wonder, just out of curiosity, if you happen to unleash Corbin and he gets his face somewhat punched in, do you then go and change your Dodger lineups around because the Dodgers are going to be the most popular team on the slate? Of course, there's salary cap reasons why they can't be fully owned. But would you change that lineup thinking, well, I mean, I got to find a way to be different because I'm playing catch up. And if the Dodgers are super popular, there's somebody that's better positioned right now with the same Dodgers. You understand what I'm saying, right?
Yeah, but I'm not sure if the full stack is going to be they probably will be one of the most popular teams on the slate. But I think you could make your lineup different enough. I'm taking a look at my correlation matrix tool. And Jake McCarthy comes up. If you use the bat projections, Jake McCarthy comes up a hell of a lot. Like David Peterson plus Trey Turner. Like if I want to show this on the screen, even like I have my I'm just sharing my whole screen. Even I got you my Twitter over there.
I thought producer Steve has the power for the screen. You
I have the power also. They've given me the power.
Look at you! All right, you got a bunch of fancy numbers up there. What are you showing off?
Right. This is in the Theory of DFS Advanced course. This is a tool James McCool made. We have 7 tools in the course, and this is called the Portfolio Correlation Matrix. So what I did is I built 300 lineups just based on the bat projections. Okay, just to see what players stick to other players. Meaning that if more people are using the bat projections, they're more likely to get Jake McCarthy one-offs. Like I could see in the 300 lineups what the R values of every player are to every other player. Okay, obviously David Peterson comes up a lot because I have him in 98 lineups. So here, instead of looking through this entire chart like this, we give you a list. So it's like David Peterson and Trey Turner are the most correlated in more of your lineups. David Peterson and Jake McCarthy. Trey Turner and Jake McCarthy. So what this will show is that if people are using projections and they're not using them correctly in an optimizer, they may be getting a lot of these players tied to each other. They may stick to it. So you may have 20% Trey Turner and 20% Jake McCarthy, but all of those lineups have both of them in it. So it's if you could avoid those combinations, you could still play both players, just play them a little bit more uniquely. So I like using this tool to kind of build lineups based on it's just default projections and seeing that. So then I could maybe set up groups and go, well, if Jake McCarthy's in the lineup, don't play Trey Turner, right? Don't play Will Smith or Mookie Betts. Maybe keep Jake McCarthy as a one-off out of my Dodgers stacks, if that's going to be the case. And I just go through all of here and go, okay, Ryan Mountcastle, who is he tied more to? Maybe don't play him with David Peterson or something. So it's just this is just a unique tool to one, see what you shouldn't do to get combinatorically different, and as well as just seeing the portfolio, the diversification of your portfolio. So after this, I could take those 300 lineups that I made, and then I have another tool in the Theory of DFS called the Portfolio Trimmer. So this is, I put all the lineups in, I load them into the Portfolio Trimmer, and this is what you insert the projections from Lineup HQ. So that's what I did before. So you can just cut and paste them. Just download them from Lineup HQ and you throw them in over here. And then you can go to the Portfolio Manager and it'll show you all of these lineups. It'll show you what stack they are. It'll show you the total price, this floor sum projection, the median sum projection, the ceiling sum projection, and the ownership sum. And then there are these thresholds here. You could start cutting off lineups. You could be like, well, I don't want to play a lineup since I'm playing more smaller field stuff. The top lineup is 109.89. Maybe I don't want to play a lineup that's more than 10 points off from it. So I could just go right here and set the projection threshold right here. Right, here's a 550,000 lineup. I can just type it in and I go, okay, I don't want anything under 100. Right, so I could just set the low for 100. I could trim right there. You click, you wait a second or two, and those bottom lineups on the bottom, they're gone. So you're up to 100. Then there's also a smart trim function where it'll eliminate all the lineups that are projected lower than its own ownership. So you see up here, like there's this lineup that's 185 ownership sum, but it's actually lower than these other lineups that are here that have lower ownership. So if I had a choice between 5 lineups, I probably wouldn't play this lineup compared to the one above it. So if you want to do that in bulk, which I normally would manually do in lineup HQ, I could just do it right here, press the smart trim button. But it do its work because it's Excel. It's not like the quickest of things. It may take a couple of seconds. And what it'll do is just eliminate all those lineups. So I'm just going to eliminate all those lineups. It's going to go through all of them. I have 300 lineups. Obviously, the more lineups you put in, I've done this with 3,000 lineups before. So here you go. It got it down to 11 lineups. That based on the ownership and the projection, it goes down as it goes down. So I can take these lineups now, right? Remember, I'm only playing like 5 lineups. I can copy these. I could go back into this portfolio manager, right? I can clear the lineups. I could throw this in. Let me go and cut and paste it again. Copy it over here. I'm going to paste this in. We got them in. Now I'm going to load. This should take much quicker to load them in and just see what the diversification. You can see here that I have all these Peterson lineups, right?
Blender, if this was the Oscars, the orchestra we'd be playing right now, I think.
I'm just showing off.
This is all good stuff. And where could the people find more about this? The Theory DFS.
Theory DFS. But these are the tools alongside Lineup HQ and Slate IQ and the projections and the ownership that I use to build my lineups.
Kirkwood in chat is thankful because you just made his baby fall asleep. So there you go. He's no reason to slip anything in the bottle. The baby just got knocked out.
Dean, you know the difference though of me using these tools and people don't using these tools.
You make more money
than them. Yeah, I make more money than them. So feel free to be bored all you want, but if you want to be profitable in DFS, maybe this is a help.
I was speaking on behalf of the chat. I'm just a vessel on behalf of the chat, and Kirkwood happens to be in chat, and he was just saying his child fell asleep. So there you go. And TJ, you're with us, right? You're good to go.
Oh yeah, I'm here.
Yeah. Did you sneak in a nap, or you're fine?
Just I adjusted my lineup. Actually, I was looking around and I saw that Austin Hayes was leading off for Baltimore, and so I thought, you know what, I'm gonna get him in there as my one-off today.
I would just say it's probably, you never really know how it's going to go down, but like Mullins is lurking in the bench, and Mullins, if this game is close and it's late, he's going to hit at some point. Like very well, McKenna is probably the most ideal spot to come in for, and that Washington bullpen is essentially all right-handed with the exception of one person. If it's a 10-2 score, Mullins probably doesn't play. Just give him a full day off, that kind of thing. But he is lurking, and if the situation calls for it, I think Hayes is one of those guys he could potentially hit for. And McKenna probably more likely. So he made a good point.
I think Aguiar is the DH as well.
I mean, he's just a power, an all or nothing power guy at this point, right? But yeah, I suppose I can see that as well. Or even I was going to say running for him if you need somebody just, again, if the situation calls for it. Typically they want, his bat. His bat is pretty good. But all right. Somebody mentioned in chat, traditionally we see when teams clinch, for the division. And then we've already seen the Dodgers clinch the division despite the fact we're 3 weeks still away from the season ending. Teams the next day are going to roll out lineups, kind of the B lineup. And we don't have a Dodger lineup today just yet. And that's actually a good point. I didn't think of that, but we might get a weird Dodger lineup. Just kind of a heads up on it. And we might get it late. We might get it an hour from now. Or we might get it right at lock. Who knows? Just kind of stay tuned on that. I didn't see the play, but I heard the announcer say that Gallo kind of hurt himself running the first base. I'm not sure how serious it was, but I think he's available tonight. But that's another one just kind of keep an eye on as well. But we might get a funky Dodger lineup, just kind of a traditional baseball thing. The day after you clinch, they tend to roll out weird lineups the next day. And just something to monitor, something to keep in mind there. I thought Blender convinced you, TJ, to play some Diamondbacks. He was talking about playing some Arizona because they're going to be mostly lost. And who knows what Michael Groove is. Not a huge prospect for LA. And somebody asked how many pitches he's expected to throw. I will just tell you, Derek Carty, the bat, support the blitz. Carty does good work. Has him projected for about 80 pitches for what it's worth. But, yeah, we're going to give our favorite pitchers otherwise. And, oh, by the way, I did want to mention, how before I was talking about our ownership projections were kind of funky, at least in my opinion, when it comes to the top 3 on DK. I went to the bat ownership projections, and that it's more realistic in my opinion at Peterson being 51%, Burns being 41%, and Gray at 28%. That to me makes more sense. I thought for sure Peterson was the third guy, and this will probably change according to our Play IQ stuff as well, but it just seemed kind of weird to me. But TJ, you said you're all in on Peterson. That's your guy. I assume you're playing mostly FanDuel. You just locking them in. You're going to spend them for some Burns. There's still a lot of cheap bats on FanDuel. Like Giancarlo Stanton's still really cheap. Muncie's still really cheap. He plays today. There's some goofy prices out there. Baltimore just across the board is too cheap. Yeah. So are you hitting the lock button on Peterson, or do you have any pivots away from him?
So I'm only playing the one lineup today, and I am going to roll with Peterson as my pitcher. If I was playing 150 today, I would definitely consider hitting the lock button. And for me, it wouldn't be so much because I don't think Burns can smash. I don't think other guys in there could have, like some of these other value guys could have good games. It's mostly just because he's going to be picking up a lot of ownership, and I do really like him. And that would kind of be my way that I would just get a little bit different than the field today, is just having all the Peterson and hoping I have a combination of the stacks that hit with him. In terms of other guys, like Burns would be my second favorite. I don't mind Sonny Gray. I don't mind Dane Dunning in tournaments. And then I even if I'm running 150 in very small amounts, I don't even mind sprinkling in guys like Smiley, Stripling, Corbin, or Bayo.
That's the most interesting one you said at the end, Bayo, because we know the arm is electric. We know he's walked too many guys, but he has shown flashes. He has shown the ability. If you want to play the leverage game, there's absolutely leverage in Bayo. There's not a huge opportunity cost at SB2. It falls off pretty quickly. If one of those, if Burns or Peterson kind of stumbles, I think Bayo is kind of interesting. And of course, he's really cheap. Get you a different shuffle as far as sticks as well. He's been super unlucky. If you look at his advanced metrics, right? The batting average on balls in play for him is 350 or so. Where's the BABIP? I'm pulling it up right now. Small samples, obviously. Almost 400. 398, which is a pretty absurd number. 579 as far as the ERA. The Sierra, much more true there at 420. Swinging strike rate is pretty solid at 11.7%. I believe in the talent, and I think that game is, we'll talk about it, but I think the Yankees can put up 10 runs, or Bayo can be one of the top pitchers in the slate, and neither one would completely shock. The Yankees, we know about Judge, who's absolutely smashing, but otherwise, that lineup, I'm not afraid of IKF or Marwin Gonzalez or Trevino or the ghost of Hicks, who's just terrible these days. Donaldson has his moments, but certainly not the guy he once was. Stanton's got a ridiculous amount of power too, but that's basically all it is. The Yankees are just kind of a name brand right now. No Rizzo, no Carpenter. The good guys are good, but there's some really bad stuff in there as well. I know the ballpark's not perfect either to pitch in, but I just think Bayo is an interesting, just get a pinch. This is like a 5 or 10% deal as far as pitching. You have thoughts on that blender as far as a way to be different? Bayo's, I don't know, is he popping up in your 3,000 lineups you ran? He's probably not.
No, not at all. I'm in that game, I'm more likely to play Red Sox hitters. I know someone in chat is mentioning Cortez. Cortez, we have only projected to pitch 70 to 75 pitches. So
he's not fully stretched out. He just came back. This will be his second start. So yeah.
Right. So I wouldn't even consider him on FanDuel, but at 9,600 on DraftKings, that's just, it seems a little excessive. But on a one pitcher site like FanDuel, you need to be able to, if you can, and especially in GPPs, if you can't get the quality win, the quality start and the win, it's like you're capping your ceiling so much. He would have to be absurdly efficient in order to get that. I'd much rather, why am I going to overpay for Cortez when he needs to get 8 strikeouts in 4 innings or something like that? So no, Cortez is not even, not saying he's a bad pitcher, but he may only pitch 4 innings.
Yeah, same boat for me there. Cortez isn't somebody that I'm considering. Do want to get in quick before we get too deep into the show. We got almost 200 people watching. Hit that dang like button. 50 likes for the first Spidey bomb, and we'll get the second one in at 100. Hit with Eloy Jimenez yesterday.
Yeah, Cortez, his first start back, he threw 58 pitches. Traditionally, they usually extend 15 or so more pitches the next start. So we're talking about maybe 75 pitches, and he's 10K on DK. Like, I just can't talk to that. He would have to be incredibly efficient and really thread that needle, like go 5 and throw 75 pitches and strike out 8. I guess that's possible, but it seems, I know that mustache is powerful. Even the mustache, that's its limitations. There's no chance. I'm going to roster myself some Nestor Cortez. TJ, what are your thoughts as far as Gray? You kind of mentioned some guys, and that KC team just stinks, right? It's just not a good team. It's not happening. But like Gray is another one of those pitchers for me. Not a lot of fun on the roster. They suppress his pitch count many times. They almost never let him go 3 times around, right? 79 pitches his last start. Before that, 59 and 60, 69, 92. This is not somebody I want like a large ownership on. And according to our projections, he's like a top 3 guy, or number 3. And that, I can't get excited about that. I want less, despite the fact that KC is terrible.
Yeah, he's, I think, at best number 4 for me, behind Peterson, Burns, and Dunning. And he's just kind of in that list of guys like Bayo, like Corbin, Stripling, Smiley, that I kind of just want to sprinkle in small percentages.
The chat, J3 says, smash the like button for Dean and the Spite Blender. Why would the Spite Blender? But are you anti-like button blender? I don't get the. I mean, like I like the J3s on my side for some reason. But why are we spiting you? Why do you hate the like button?
I don't know.
Okay.
Go back to the pregame show. Go click on the other video for the DFS pregame show and like that one also.
Did the Spidey bombs hit yesterday? Is here in chat, and the answer is yes.
Yeah, I like that. He just sort of asked the question and he answers it. There,
I got a Spidey bomb. I got a Spidey bomb.
You got one?
Yes.
He's got a Spock bomb.
I got a home run call of the day.
No, you never have any takes. You have a take?
No, it's not a take. I just went to the bat projections, and Aaron Judge is the highest home run projection.
Oh, so you're saying
Aaron Judge is my Spidey bomb. There you go. You didn't even hit the like button.
That's a bold. I mean, you must have watched a lot of baseball. How did you come up with that, Aaron Judge?
I don't know. He hits a lot of home runs.
Yeah,
and he projects to hit a lot of home runs. So why not?
Give me the number that he finishes at this season, Blender. What's the official number? Give me that. Don't just tell me he's in a homer today. This is DFS. I'm curious.
He's gonna beat 61. He's that's he's not gonna beat Bonds though.
No, I don't think so. Bonds 73, is that right? I think it's 73. I don't think he's beating Bonds.
No,
somewhere in the middle. I think that's
but as far as WRC plus, like I saw this stat yesterday. He has a 206 WRC plus, which will put him on the list of like top 7 of all time, and the other players on the list are Babe Ruth, Ty Cobb, Rogers Hornsby. I mean, we're talking about like old school Hall of Famers. So like this season, it's hard for me to not say that why shouldn't he be the MVP?
206. Nobody's arguing against that, right? I suppose you wanted the argument.
People will say Ohtani.
Well, I mean, it's a whole different conversation, but like what Ohtani does with the arm, I don't know how to quantify that. Certainly, it's a big help. It's a boost.
Judge should pitch. Maybe Judge should pitch a couple of games.
Well, that probably will make it. They'll probably lower his WAR. I'm going to guess, but I don't know. I've never seen him pitch before. But it doesn't seem necessary. But yeah, who knows? You got to take in that, TJ? Who's how many homers are we going to get for Judge this season? Give me the number. Over under 63.5.
Let's go over. He'll get 65 on the dot there, I think. And yeah, I think Judge should be the MVP. Like, the Yankees haven't been very good, and they're leading probably the best division in baseball, and definitely the best division in the American League. And so, like, and he's just been carrying them in the second half of the season as everybody else has slowed down. So I think it's got to be Judge.
You know, the wildest stat like nobody talks about. We have the home run leader right now at Aaron Judge, 57 home runs. Do you know the distance? Do you know who's second? Who has the second most home runs in the league? And how many behind Aaron Judge is that person?
Schwarber by 20.
Did you just cheat, or did you watch? Where'd you catch this?
No, I saw the same thing yesterday on Twitter.
Oh, no, I was just pulling it up on the fly. I knew it was about that. But like a 20 homer lead is insane. Like if you look in the past seasons, it's always pretty congested. But 20 home runs separating from the field. It's kind of like Ruth back in the day, where Ruth would like hit more homers than some teams. But that's pretty wild. Third is Austin Riley. Austin Riley in Goldie's got 35, who I think is the current leader for MVP in the National League. I have not checked that in a while, but I'm pretty sure. Sandy Alcantara, the Cy Young. I think the American League Cy Young is between Cease and Verlander. I think that's what's going on right now.
We have hit 50 likes, so speaking of home runs, we can get our first Spidey bomb and the first one of the day. Somebody picking up not as much ownership as I thought he was going to be today on FanDuel, priced nice and cheap at 2,700. Ryan Mountcastle is the first Spidey bomb.
He's not going to be popular, in the expert survey today, TJ. I don't know, did you contribute today or no?
No.
My favorite hitter, you factor everything in, is Mountcastle. Corbin gives up essentially 2 homers per 9. The leap in ballpark from Baltimore to Washington, especially for righty power, is pretty massive. And he's just really cheap. I think he's 2.7 on FanDuel and like 3.8 on DK, something like that. I'm surprised if he's not. When you say, it's an 8-game slate, so everything's
like he's not going to be 5%, but like where the bat projections has him at 9 and plate IQ has him at 11 right now, and so 8-game slate, I kind of expected that to be at least 20.
Jason in chat says Baltimore is absolute trash. Okay, that's a take. I hope they're not tonight. I have a lot of Baltimore. I hope Jason's wrong, at least for one night. I prefer, Mullins out there. Obviously, he sits sometimes versus lefties, and I think he helps that lineup a good bit. But, Rushman is just awesome. Love playing him. Going to have plenty of them on both FanDuel and DK. I'll spend up for Adley against Corbin and take my chances 5-1 over there. If you want to shoot for a cheap homer, I don't hate Jesus Aguilar either. Obviously, it's been a rough season for him, but historically a lot of power in that bat. We should clean up the hitters, though. I'm sorry, the pitchers, Blender. Do you have any official takes you want to get out there as far as your favorite pitchers? I know
I have 4 pitchers in my player pool. Okay, maybe a 5th one. So I got Peterson, Gray, Dunning, Corbin. I may have Burns. It's 10-5. Raw points wise, he's second on the list. I may throw him in just to see if he shows up in some lineups or something like that. I'm only playing 5, so it's quite possible I may not have any Corbin Burns. Not saying that he's fine. He projects to 19.59 as a median, second highest on the slate. So I have no problem with Burns. Just that I think getting away from those Peterson-Burns combos would be useful on DraftKings. And the fact that, the bat has Dunning and Gray at 17 points.
Yeah.
And Burns at 19.5. So a 2.5 point difference. But the price difference is 2,200 or 3,500. And maybe I could just find better bats. If people are playing these cheap Orioles or something, right? They're playing Austin Hayes or Aguirre or Shella. It's 2,600 in the Twins lineup batting 4th, or McCarthy, things like that. I'll find the savings and try to get a little bit different at pitcher. But my pitching pool is pretty much that. Could you take a shot on Austin Voth or Brian Bayo or Drew Smiley? I guess. But I typically lean more towards the side of the top projected pitchers are typically the ones that I have the most of.
Yeah, and I know, TJ, you kind of talked about it already as well, but, people are kind of sprinkling in and out throughout the show. I'm sure some have joined us since you've given your take as far as pitchers earlier. But feel free to give me the summary. Feel free to reiterate. I know you're on Peterson, but whatever else you are considering and justifications why and why not, throw it out there as, hey, we got time. We still have, 45 minutes until the crunch time crew jumps in. Plenty of time to talk about stacks and individual hitters. We're going to go around the horn, despite Blender is going to be very angry about that during that segment.
I'm going to show my tools again. You do that, and I'm going to be going off for 20 minutes on my tools.
Well, never mind that. I don't know what we're going to do now. TJ, give me the pitcher thoughts you have for tonight.
So on FanDuel for me today, Peterson's number 1 by a mile. Number 2 is going to be Corbin Burns. 3, Dane Dunning. 4, Sonny Gray. And then after that, it drops off quite a bit. I think maybe Ross Stripling, Brian Bayo would be my favorite tournament shots if I was running 150. But I'm playing one lineup, and it's Peterson. If I was playing more, it would be a ton of Peterson, probably at least 80% today. On DraftKings, I think I would be hitting the lock button on Peterson. Number 2 from my favorite SP2, I think, is Dane Dunning. Next guy on my list would be Corbin Burns, and then it kind of falls off a bit to Sonny Gray, Brian Bayo, Patrick Corbin.
Right. I want to add with Corbin, if the Orioles are going to be popular, Corbin offers as a pitcher more leverage than any of the other cheaper pitchers. Right? Maybe I would say Corbin won for leverage purposes, probably Corbin 1 and then Bayo 2, because you have to expect the Yankees. Like I ran some lineups, and the top stacks here that I got in up here are the Dodgers, the Diamondbacks, the Rangers, the Twins, and the Orioles, and then the Yankees. So, like, as far as pitcher projections that are against those teams that are decent enough, Corbin and Bayo fit that bill. So, you know, if Corbin does well, that means all those Oriole lineups aren't doing well. The same for Bayo versus the Yankees. Since I'm only playing 5 lineups, I'm just choosing. I'm probably going to play Corbin and not play the Orioles today. And it's a high variance situation. I mean, TJ could agree with this completely. Like, if this is the type of situation where Corbin could go out and strike out 8 or 9 guys, or the Orioles could just give 12 runs on him. I mean, Corbin's that type of pitcher. So, like, my attitude is like, have a stance. Either one could be fine, but have a stance. If you're not playing any Corbin, play some Orioles. And if you're not playing many Orioles, play some Corbin. But I think that likely that situation is not going to be one of those things where it's like, oh, the Orioles score 3 runs off of him. I think if they score runs, they'll score a ton of runs off of him, or Corbin actually does strike out because the Orioles aren't that great of hitters to begin with, that he gets a ton of strikeouts. So, like, to me, that's a priority. If I'm running 5 lineups, I may run 1 Orioles lineup and 2 Corbin lineups and do something like that. But if you want to take a stand, feel free to do so in that situation.
Yeah, I'm on the same page there. If I was playing DraftKings and I was running 5 lineups, I don't think I'd have any need to get to Corbin on Fanduel, but on DraftKings, I'd definitely have a lineup with Corbin as my SP2, and I'd be running a 5-man Orioles stack as well. And then probably a 3-man Orioles stack in my other lineup. Where Blenders would go 2 Corbins and 1 Orioles, I think I'm feeling 2 Orioles and 1 Corbin.
My rebut to that is, like, this is the old Cheese Dave Potts thought process. Is like, we know Corbin is bad, right? We don't know if Bayo is bad. We know he's been bad, but we also know he can be good. And Corbin, of course, like, anytime.
Corbin can be good. He had 2 outings before.
You bring the shortstop in, you can get 3 guys out. Like, these things, you know, there's a lot of variance in baseball. He could survive it. We know he's not, like, great, right? And there was
my general opinion, Dean, is fully with you here, but I've also learned that when the bat randomly has a pitcher projected super high, I'm almost always wrong anytime I go against it.
Which one is that? Is the bat highly projecting Corbin?
The bat over the course of I've been using the bat for 5 years. And yes, it's not like 100%. Obviously, it never could be. But the pitching projections on the bat, I like, especially when these cheap pitchers, or, you know, you go, why is a sub 10% guy like project so well in the bat? If you would have just used them on DraftKings, because you never have to really use these guys on FanDuel on a 1-pitcher site. But if you just over the past 5 years have said, I don't care what the name is, I'm just going to plug it in, you probably have been profitable over time.
Yeah, I agree. Like, the bat projections for pitching, ever since I've gotten those this year, that's been huge for me. And, like, they have, like, Corbin's, I think the hold on. Oh, that's the wrong projections for DraftKings. I just tried to pull it up for Lineup HQ, but I believe he's the 2nd highest point per dollar pitcher on Lineup HQ today behind Peterson. No, he's first, ahead of Peterson.
Well, he has to be. He's a point per dollar basis. He doesn't cost anything.
Well, exactly. And so on SP2 on DraftKings,
but also
of course he's the best point per dollar play, and he's only going to be 10% owned. Why aren't we?
Dollars? It's skewed to guys that are cheaper. You know that.
Okay, well then you play the big expensive bats and you score 10 runs there.
Yeah, so if I can go if I'm playing Peterson and Corbin, I can probably get a 5-man Dodger stack with Aaron Judge in it.
Yeah, well, we don't
also understand with the bat with Peterson, The bat has Peterson has more raw points than Corbin Burns today.
2.88 fantasy points per dollar for Corbin. He is projected,
If you don't like point per dollar basis, the bat has Corbin Burns as the 5th highest scoring pitcher tonight.
Wait, say it again?
Or sorry, Patrick Corbin, not Corbin Burns. Patrick Corbin.
Do I have to give it a refresh? Because I see Smiley slightly ahead of Corbin for what it's worth.
Right, he's the 4th. No,
you're right. You're right.
Smiley 5. Seriously, I'm losing my mind here.
Smiley 5.
Just play Corbin and Corbin in your lineups. Law firm of Corbin and Corbin. Play Patrick Corbin and Corbin Burns. Do that.
To be clear, I'm saying lock in Peterson, sprinkle in Corbin, because when there's a projection that high and nobody else is playing him, that's a good spot.
6th, by the way. Corbin's 6th as far as raw points. It is congested. He's right below Smiley. He's not far off of Gray and Dunning either. And yes, of course, point per dollar, he's going to project better because that's just how math works, because he's his price. But, it's also a median projection, and we know that the floor for Corbin is below 0. It's below 0 for all these guys, if we're being truthful. It's a good conversation to have, but we probably don't have enough, but we still have time to knock it out today. It's I prefer to play Bayo for a little bit more, and I think there's a little bit more upside. But you are right that Corbin theoretically could go 7. Like, they will let him go 105 pitches.
But the other reason, outside of just we're talking about Patrick Corbin as a pitcher, is that the Orioles stacks will be higher owned. So if Corbin does well, he has higher relative value because you're destroying more lineups in the contest.
Okay, but I'm saying Bayo's facing the Yankees, and the Yankees are even more popular than Baltimore. Am I
no. The Yankees aren't going to be as popular as Baltimore. No.
I think they're going to be equal. I think they're going to be equally popular probably on both sites. But the difference is that on DK, Corbin is $1,400 cheaper than Bayo is.
I don't need the money though. Like, what am I going to do with it?
Aaron Judge and the Yankees.
So I'm going to play Bayo and Judge. That's what you're saying.
And Corbin Burns and Patrick Corbin, according on the bat, is projected for 5 points higher than Bayo on Fanduel, 3 points higher than Bayo on DraftKings. So that's a significant margin. He's projecting for 5% owned right now. You're not playing him because you like Patrick Corbin. You're playing him because it's a 25% strikeout rate for the Baltimore Orioles.
Yeah, is that what it is according to Plate IQ? Let's see.
24.6.
Aguilar is a big help. Yeah, 29%, 29% for McKenna. Not a big sample. We don't have much of a sample on Henderson. Mateo is at 30%. Yeah, there are a lot of Ks there. I'll give you that.
The lowest strikeout percentage guy in the lineup is 20% Gunnar Henderson with 5 plate appearances against lefties. So who knows if that's accurate?
Gator Nation in chat saying Bayo is yet to give a homer. It's really weird. He doesn't. He's only 22% fly balls, 58% ground balls. Homer the fly ball is 0. But again, his BABIP's almost 400. His left on base is 64%. He's been unlucky there. Walking too many guys, almost 12%. I don't know what we're getting from him, and I believe is this his first start ever against the Yankees. I assume it is. He hasn't started many games.
To be clear, to put a bow on this. I would be playing both on DraftKings. If I was playing 5 lineups, I'd have an SP2 lineup with Bayo. I'd have an SP2 lineup with Corbin. I'd maybe do my Baltimore stack with in a Bayo lineup and a Yankee stack in my Corbin lineup. And if I was playing 150, I would probably have 10 to 15% of both.
I do agree. You guys have swayed me that if you're playing a bunch of lineups, you should play some Corbin. And yeah, as far as the cheap.
No, we want the mush, Dean. We want the mush. You have to talk bad about him.
I don't have the mush. I mean, if I had the mush ability, I would be, like me and the Almanac will be in a mansion or something like that, having ourselves a good time in Hill Valley. But
I want the classic Dean mush. I'm not playing baseball much. I'm only playing the days that I'm doing shows because NFL is back and soccer's back and everything.
MMA.
I'm not playing again until I'm on this show next week. So I need baseball mush today. I need your MLB mush today.
I don't. Again, it's one of those things where it's like BBP. You only notice it when it works, right? When it doesn't work, and nobody. Let's just hide and pretend it never happened. It's a really great results-based thinking. It's just I think I mushed Elvis Sanders yesterday. He did nothing. I'm fairly certain he did nothing, and nobody said, "Hey, good call on the mush." because nothing interesting happened. It's like that's what he was supposed to do. He's supposed to be terrible.
I will call you. I will shout you out. I will. If Corbin does well, I will thank you for the mush.
All right, let's talk. We've talked stacks and hitters to some extent already.
The Spidey Bombs Twitter account just followed me on Twitter. Ryan Mountcastle is the first Spidey Bomb call of the day. We need the RotoGrinders account has to follow the official Spidey Bombs account.
Is that your account or someone set that up?
No, I'm assuming the same person as did the Spidey Bombs hit yesterday. YouTube account made it, but they got a GIF and they posted the first Spidey Bomb and everything.
It just started. It's a brand new account because I only see 2 tweets amongst their history.
Yeah, it's like brand new.
Yeah, you're like the first follower of this account.
Me and RotoGrinders.
Is RotoGrinders is following?
No, sorry, I'm the first follower, and they follow me and Bleacher Report.
Oh, okay. Wait, that's
they
your
got to follow
RotoGrinders,
RotoGrinders
right?
too.
Weren't you a senior writer for Bleacher Report at like 11?
13. Yep.
Which makes me, I'm sure you're a fabulous writer at the age of 13, but that does make me question.
I was a fabulous writer for a 13-year-old. Objectively, like compared to all ages, if I go back and read my stuff, it was hot trash.
And you were a senior writer. Imagine not being a senior writer.
And so I got booted. Not booted. I was just literally one of the first people to write for the website. Like I was probably one of the first couple hundred people to ever write for Bleacher Report. And how they used to have it is like, you sign up for an account, you can write articles, and our editors will look at them and like post them on the main page if they're good, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so I started out for that for NBA, and then there was just like as the site got bigger and more people started for writing for NBA, I'd kind of drop down the list. But CFL, it lasted basically as long as I wanted to do it.
Oh, talk about the Argonauts and things like that. I don't know.
Mostly the Saskatchewan Roughriders, because when the Saskatchewan Roughriders are good, they are one of the very most popular sports teams in Canada. Like when I was in high school and when I was doing this writing, it would be like for Canadian sports memorabilia sales, it was like the Maple Leafs, the Montreal Canadiens, the Saskatchewan Roughriders, the Blue Jays, the Raptors, the Oilers. Like it was crazy.
Am I wrong to say there's like 12 teams or something like that? Isn't there 2 teams named the Roughriders, which is egregious? Am I wrong to say that?
No, that was the case in like the 60s, 70s, 80s.
There once was. Like they couldn't think of another nickname. Like screw it, let's just call them the Rough Riders too. Like,
it was like so more like how the CFL started. It was like there were just like football clubs in the respective areas, and like that, like it started in the early 1900s, and so most of the teams were like rugby teams, kind of when it started out, and they were just like both of these historic clubs who didn't know who each other were at the time both had the name.
Alex in chat, by the way, said he was an editor at large at SB Nation. So, I was thinking that's the same thing as Bleacher Report. Never mind. I thought for some reason he might have been editing your work, but that's two separate companies that for some reason in my brain, I grouped them together. Cardinals lineup is out. We're still waiting on the Dodgers. Again, you might get something goofy. The Dodgers with them clinching yesterday. Certainly possible. Nothing just yet. And that certainly can shake up the slate. St. Louis is Edmund leading off, Dickerson batting second, then Goldie, Arenado, Donovan, Pujols in there versus the righty, Burleson, Yachty, and then Nootbaar. Devin Loret. Loret is the best Canadian athlete. I don't know who's Devin was. Is that Loret? Is he a CFL guy? I'm not aware of Devin.
Yeah, I don't know who that is either.
You don't know who that is? I don't know. I think Warren Moon was awesome in the CFL. Didn't like Marcus Allen's brother like break all the records at quarterback? I feel like that was
Damon Allen played.
Professional arm wrestler, by the way.
Okay.
Canadian professional arm wrestler, YouTuber, and former member of the Canadian Armed Forces. He's widely considered to be one of the best arm wrestlers of all time and is currently the #1 ranked arm wrestler in North America.
Bret Hart, by the way, people are touting in the chats. Of course, you got to throw him into the conversation too.
I mean, so like the thing with so Damon Allen, that's Marcus Allen's brother. He played for like 22 years. And he just very rarely got hurt, so that's why he broke all the records. But then other people have since broken his records. Warren Moon was without a doubt the best quarterback to ever play in the CFL. Doug Flutie probably number 2. Actually, not probably number 2. They're 1A and 1B. Like Warren Moon was the best. Flutie was number 2, but Flutie played longer. And then like there are some other guys like from the quarterback standpoint, like Jeff Garcia played in the CFL and
Sure.
a couple other guys, but Cameron Wake on defense like came up in the CFL and then obviously was amazing in the NFL, and there was a few other players like that.
The Rock played in the CFL briefly, right?
I think he was on a practice squad. Like he played some preseason games. That was it.
All right, that's
what most people don't realize is like obviously the NFL is way higher quality football. The talent is way better, but because of how different the games are, it is a very enjoyable sport to watch. You got the big field, the big end zones, and the talent is pretty darn good as well. Like when Ricky Williams got suspended and came to the CFL, he was horrible. Like
he was also starting back end, though, right? Wasn't he kind of like he was? I don't know. I don't want to say checked out.
This was before he went back to the NFL, and he was better when he returned to the NFL than he was in the CFL.
When he was at his best, though, Ricky was awesome for that window for sure. Rocket Ismail, I remember Rocket from Notre Dame. I don't know how well he did in the CFL, but
he was one of the better like kick returners ever.
All right. Favorite stacks, if you pull up our expert rankings as far as the stacks today, you're seeing the Dodgers. And again, who knows? We might get a goofy lineup from the Dodgers, but Dodgers are number 1. And then it's a mixed bag of Baltimore, Yankees, Texas, Minnesota. That's basically what we're getting as far as a collection. TJ, what do you say as far as stacks? And also we had a question in chat. Single entry. If you're going to single entry stack, who's your favorite single entry stack tonight? Would that change be away from your favorite stack when you consider ownership and things of that sort?
So the nice thing for when we're talking about stacks is it's basically the exact same for me on both websites. It doesn't really change, DraftKings and Fanduel. The Dodgers are my favorite stack of the day. Texas is number 2. Orioles are number 3. The Yankees are number 4. And I think Arizona is 5. But it's kind of the Dodgers, the Orioles, and the Rangers. That's my kind of tier 1. The Yankees are kind of my tier 2 by themselves with Arizona in there. Actually, no, that's not true. Yankees, Arizona, and Minnesota. That's my tier 2. And then there's some teams like the Mets, Washington, and Toronto that I don't mind mixing in large field stuff as well.
Blender, I know you kind of talked about it already, and you're talking about Arizona as a team's going to be neglected, but where are you at right now as far as stacks? I guess you have your 5 lineups, which you use your tools there to get 3,000 lineups. You whittled it down to 5. So I guess those weren't technically hand-built, were they?
Well, they're technically hand-built. Why? What's wrong with that?
Well, you're manipulating. You're not building by hand means like, okay, here's my second base.
Okay, Dean, I'll enter them in by hand. Is that good enough for you?
No.
It's 5. I can go right into my phone. I can enter them in lineups.
I honestly think one of the first.
I'm doing the technical hand building. Yes.
I think one of the first spots I've disagreed with Blender today is specifically on Arizona. It's not that I don't like them; it's that I don't really love them relative to their ownership. I kind of think they are going to be popular.
I don't think so.
We got him as the 4th highest projected owned team on DraftKings or on according to the Plate IQ projections right now. And I actually think they're going to come in a bit higher than we have them in there as.
Now I think the Dodgers and the Rangers are going to come in higher. I think the Dodgers, the 3 stacks that you like, the Dodgers, Rangers, and Orioles, I think they'll be higher than what you expect. Not by like a ton, but obviously the Dodgers. The thing about the Dodgers is that we still do not have a lineup out for them, and it's an hour and 5 minutes to go before lock. The closer, if they don't have a lineup out by like 6:50, that ownership is going to start to drop, and it's going to go to other places. Then I could start seeing Texas, Baltimore, the Yankees, Arizona. It's going to naturally go that way because people will be like, I don't know if they're playing. I don't know who's playing. So that's what I'm going to be monitoring for. But if we got the lineup right now, I think the ownership wise, it'll be the Dodgers 1, the Rangers 2, the Orioles 3, the Yankees 4. But rightfully so. They're the best projected stacks. I get it. From an ownership perspective, my top 3 stacks are Arizona, Minnesota, and Boston.
I guess, and I actually agree with who you think is going to be the top 4 owned teams, and I would have Arizona 5th. I honestly just think those 5 teams are basically going to be a clump.
I don't expect. Also maybe on FanDuel is different. Remember, I'm looking only at DraftKings. In smaller field contests, I think you may be closer to correct in the large field stuff because people are more likely to play different lineups. Today, my 5 lineups, although I'm throwing them all in to the $18 large field, I'm playing one lineup in the 250, one lineup in the 121, and 3 lineups in the $88 contest. So these are contests that are 1,000 entries. I mean, the chalk tends to condense a lot more. Like Peterson, I could think maybe it's going to be 70% owned in those contests. Like the Dodgers,
I was in the 444 on FanDuel yesterday, and Jacob deGrom was 83%.
Right, so it's naturally going to go up. So like I'm playing lineups in those contests, which means you're going to get a little bit more of a spread like that, where the Dodgers, the Rangers, and the Orioles may see increased ownership. This is all dependent on when the Dodgers put out a lineup. I think Arizona may come in. I think maybe the Yankees and the Diamondbacks may come in just underneath that, and then the Twins and the Red Sox. So we have a lineup. Okay. Yeah, they're not throwing out a very good lineup. Taylor, Muncy, Smith, Thompson, Gallo, Vargas, Bellinger, Barnes, Alberto. So no Turner, no Betts, no Freeman. They pretty much took the night off.
You probably could have got some value hitting this in the sports book and betting Arizona, by the way. That line's probably going to move.
And I think also the biggest takeaway from this is we're going to end up seeing higher ownership to Corbin Burns now.
Because you have less places to spend your money as far as hitters?
Less places to spend your money, but also you can stack the top 5 in the Dodgers order as probably one of the cheapest stacks on the slate.
Taylor, Muncy batting second. Muncy, I'm surprised he didn't get the day off because he's been dealing with that knee. They're giving him a go. Will Smith is in there, which is nice to see the DH. Clay's brothers batting 4th. Gallo is fine, I guess. He had an issue running the first base last night, but again, I didn't see it. I just heard it there. The announcer was kind of concerned. Vargas, Bellinger, 2 catchers of Barnes, and then Alberto. So, neither Turner, right? Okay, so no Justin Turner and no Trey Turner and no
Freeman, Betts, and Trey Freeman all getting the day off is the big
thing. This is the first day off for Freddie Freeman in the entire season.
Yeah. So Matt Jackson's probably pinch hit.
Do you get people get consecutive games played stats? Do those continue if you pinch hit for somebody?
You're officially playing a game, I think, if you pinch hit.
So then I would bet Freeman pinch hits in this game at some point.
Well, I mean, come on. He's not going to catch Cal Ripken, and he's not going to get 2,700 games in a row.
Yeah, but why not? If he's fine, I bet they throw him in there for a pinch hit if it's a close game.
Maybe. That's the chat. Somebody in chat says it's pinch hit city. I don't know. This game doesn't matter, right? They're on cruise control, and they're going to play these guys throughout the year and understand. We've seen it not too long ago. We've seen where Betts will come out in the 6th inning or the 7th inning in a game. It's like 6 or 7 runs or 8 runs. And they've been kind of doing this for a while now because there's no real reason to push them too hard. I wouldn't just automatically assume, Blender, that we're going to get a bunch of pinch hits in this game. Maybe if the situation calls for it. But again, they're just kind of saying, theoretically, I think they just want to give their vets a day off, and that's that.
I agree. I think specifically Freeman, though, I could see in there being like, hey, you got a streak, go in there and taking that back.
Okay. Maybe. I don't know. It's hard to say. But yeah, this definitely does change the slate. And I don't know, are people going to play Taylor now and more? Maybe Gallo up in the lineup helps, I suppose.
I think this increases the ownership. Will Smith at catcher at 5,200. I mean,
why? He was going to back clean up anyway, and then the guys around him are worse. So his RBI, the chances for them to put up 12 runs is less. Why does he?
What other catcher are you going to play on this slate? If you're going to play a one-off catcher, you're probably going to play Will Smith.
No, you're playing Rushman if you're playing a one-off catcher, and we already thought Smith was playing. Nothing. He's just out there with worse guys around him.
All I'm saying is because you're not paying up for Turner or Betts means you're going to have the cash. That just like what TJ said with Corbin Burns, Judge is going to be more owned, and Will Smith is going to anyone that's a high price at a certain alone at their position is going to be a little bit more owned because you could fit in a lot more cheaper batters.
I think Rushman is going to gain some ownership on DK for that reason. Your same sort of thought
100,
process.
yeah, it's same range. Okay, that's fine.
I mean, I was happy to pay for him before, and it's going to be even easier now because less stuff to pay up for. This is a TJ question. We'll go around the horn quickly. We'll do it, and whatever comes up in chat, we're happy to do that. And I believe, is it? Well, I want to say who's coming up next. You guys, is it Keith and Cheese, Dave Potts? They'll go around the horn, give their fair plays, position by position. But if you want to fire off some strategy questions in chat, whatever's on your mind as far as stacks, please, we're happy to field those as well too. Blender, I will. I'll let you sit this one out. Unless you want to participate, feel free.
Go for it. Have fun. Yeah. Have fun. Go around the horn. Honk the horn. Do whatever you want with the horn.
Feel free to chime in whenever you want. But and we'll have some things coming up in chat as well too, I suppose. Organically, we'll kind of splinter off from the around the horn here, TJ. But the people like it, and we'll do it quickly. Catcher wise, TJ, who is your favorite catcher? Of course, you're playing, I think, exclusively on Fanduel. You don't necessarily have to roster one over there, but I do like Rushman a good bit over there. Just too cheap, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm with you. Adley Rutschman and Will Smith are without a doubt, I think, kind of the top two guys. Gary Sanchez in tournaments interests me as a cheapie. And anytime Danny Jansen is in the lineup, I absolutely love playing him. And I think he's a pretty sneaky one-off against Rasmussen, who's been a little bit reverse splitsy and has given up a above a 40% hard hit rate to righties this season. So Danny Jansen is somebody that I like quite a bit in tournaments there. And in addition, one of my favorite tournament plays as catcher, as a one-off, is going to be Salvador Perez against Sonny Gray.
Flying armbar in chat. Which teams are the most on the line? Well, there's not a lot of, drama coming down the stretch here in this MLB season, unfortunately. Brewers are one of the coin toss teams, according to 538, 39% chance of making the playoffs. So they're certainly a team that's going to be trying their hardest, playing their best players. Twins and Orioles are kind of not eliminated mathematically, but it's unlikely. They're in the single digits, 6%, 5% respectively. They definitely don't think they're out, but it's unlikely they make the playoffs. And also, good point made in chat by Matt. Yeah, Judge, I don't know why I landed on this number, but yeah, 69% ownership projected for Judge. Well, not projected, but that's where all the money. Everybody's got the money for Judge. You're gonna have the money for it if you want it. And if you tell me a player is gonna be 70% owned, like a hitter, I don't care how good that hitter is. You're probably supposed to be under that. That's an egregious number. But yeah, would you agree with that, Blender? You think Judge is now gonna all of a sudden be much easier to pay for?
Easier to pay for, but it's not like he projects for like that. I mean, even in the bat, like a 0.28 at home run is not like. It's not insane. And like just someone said in chat, Bayo hasn't given up a home run this year. So, yeah, he's the highest projected player. 10.82 in the bat. But it's not like it's that much higher than some other guys like Dalton Varsho or Marcus Semien or Vlad Guerrero. And at his ownership, yeah, I'm being much more likely to not play Judge as a one-off. I'm more likely to probably even leave money on the table instead of playing him as a one-off in a chalky lineup. But like I said, I'm going to be playing lineups that may not have that much chalk in them. So maybe I don't mind a Judge one-off, but I don't consider at 6,400. The bat has him at 27% owned, the highest owned hitter on the slate. I'm typically in baseball on an 8-game slate. I'm not all that thrilled to playing the highest owned bat as a one-off. If I could choose not, I'm more likely to play him in a stack because at least you could get if the Yankees do well, you're sharing points with less lineups.
TJ J3 says, good to see you slightly less scared of Blender these days. Is Blender scary? You were not afraid of Blender, were you?
You've never been scared of me.
I don't think I've ever been scared. He bought me a wedding gift. How could I be scared of somebody who bought me a wedding gift?
If I got him poop bag just in case he's scared shitless.
Have we broke him out yet? That was we should add some clarity. That was for your dog, right? I think we should make sure the people are aware. Have we used those just yet?
To be perfectly honest with you, I don't know for sure because there's a bunch of gifts that were like from our registry that came from the United States that have not arrived yet. And so to be perfectly honest with you, I don't know if that's one of them.
Mine, I got a notification a while back that mine did actually got delivered to your house.
Okay, perfect. Then they are in fact broken out and in my entryway table right now.
And like, I don't want to just I don't want to look like a big jerk. Didn't give you. I have to point out, since CJ, you're not going to save me. I did get you a gift as well. That was on your registry. It was a. I can't remember what it was called now. What's the deal called? What's the thing?
I don't see in the Funko Pop. That is one of them that I know has not actually came yet.
What? Do I need to call somebody? That was like months ago.
I know. There's just like something about international postal shipping that I've had like 3 or 4 Amazon packages from the last like 6 months outside of wedding even that have just like not arrived and they're on hold somewhere. And,
let me know if I have to call somebody. Like, I know that's wild. It's been several months. I can't believe it's not been delivered, but
it's definitely
far away.
International postal service thing as opposed to a you didn't do anything wrong or anything like that. Back to baseball though, there's just something that I'm viewing right now that is really stirring in my head, so I want to bring it up before I forget about it. A stack I just glossed over and barely mentioned that I'm starting to like a lot more the more Texas. I get into this is no, I've always liked them, is Toronto. There you can afford them without the Dodgers. There's not that many other teams to pay up for, and I don't think because of that total, people are going to be paying up for them. So I still think they're going to be sneaky. And I think they got a lot of upside. You got a pitcher like Rasmussen who's got good numbers, but a decently low BABIP at 260 this year, and he's going into a Toronto ballpark that is way more conducive to hitting than Tampa's ballpark is. And he's a little bit reverse splitsy, striking out 22% of batters to the right-handed batters, but giving up 44% hard hit rate. And you got guys like George Springer, Vlad Guerrero, Matt Chapman, who are all over 200 ISOs this year, and Bo Bichette, who is maybe the hottest hitter in all of baseball. Danny Jansen in a good position, hitting 6th. He's a guy that has a 225 ISO this year, and his ground ball percentage is only 35% to right-handed bats. So the Blue Jays are a team I really like on both sites. I think especially DraftKings, where you can get a catcher in your stack like Danny Jansen that I don't think many other people are going to play.
First base, TJ, I know you kind of touched on Vladdy. Just in general, what's your thoughts as far as first? Of course, we're throwing Freeman out the window. He's not playing tonight, at least not starting the game. Yeah,
so Vladdy Guerrero is going to be my favorite pay up now, and Ryan Mountcastle is the just top option on the slate, and he is not going to be anywhere near as low owned now that Freddie Freeman is not playable. On DraftKings, he's going to be even higher than the, I think, 19 we're projecting him for right now. On Fanduel, that 10% we had before is definitely not going to last. So he's your cash game play on both sites, I think. But you do have some interesting tournament plays that I like quite a bit as well, in stacks or as one-offs. And the top two there for me are going to be Pete Alonso and Luke Voigt.
Second base, Fanduel specific. Muncy, we keep talking about how Fanduel just kind of jerks around with his salary. Keeps hitting homers of late. Like I know he's had kind of an uneven season. We'll say that. He's in that Dodger lineup. He's I assume. Is there any risk that like these guys, the veterans, are going to get the hook? But yeah, who would come in? They're not going to bring in the other vets for him, I wouldn't think. So I'm trying to think who else is on the bench that might be a young guy, just going to give him some love. But I assume that if Muncy's starting, he's fine for the game. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I'm going to treat everybody in this lineup as fine for the game. Like, I'm not going to be picking and choosing somebody I think is specifically going to be gone. I don't think that's going to go well. One more player at first base before we get into second that I forgot about that I want to touch on quick is Nate Lowe. I think in a Texas stack, he's going to be the most overlooked player, and maybe not so much on DraftKings where he's nice and cheap, but on FanDuel at 3,600, I think he's going to be kind of the left out player in a Texas stack. And just kind of on the surface, if you glance, you can just see Sears, a left-handed pitcher. Oh, he hasn't given up any power to lefties yet this year. He's faced 35 lefties in his entire career, so the sample size is tiny. And Lowe has a 223, I believe, ISO this year, 224 ISO to lefties, 411 WOBA. He doesn't strike out. Lowe's somebody that I like quite a bit in a Texas stack.
Are we at the second Spidey bomb? Do we have 100 likes? I've not taken a peek as far as our likes. We have
Only
not...
76. So no, the people got a way to go. Taking it over to second base, Marcus Semien and Max Muncy are the two top options if you want to pay up or pay down. Gleyber Torres and Mark Mathias are kind of probably my next two on the list. And then if I'm picking somebody outside of that group, I think my favorite one to go with is going to be Kevin Biggio. But second base for me today is just going to be someone a position I'm completing my stacks in.
Yeah, kindly hit that like button. Do subscribe. Do turn on those notifications. Producer Steve, throw up the graphic. Let the people know this is why you turn on the notifications, because you see when all of our billion football shows are going down. Myself, I'll be on tonight with Rich Rebar and John Daigle, the Pick Six Show. Those guys are absolutely phenomenal. Last night, if you were tuning in, you got Britt and Will talking props. And props, of course, one of the key things in props is shopping at the right place and getting the right line. You got to get in early. That comes out on Tuesday. All sorts of good stuff. The Squirrel JM show that comes on, I believe, Thursday. That's a single entry show. I listened to a good bit of that last week. Blender, you're on with Tuttle. Of course, Blender. I thought you were a man of the people. Nope, it's a premium podcast, Theory of DFS, the game stacks. That goes down on Thursday. Is that correct, Blender? Am I reading this correctly?
No, Friday. We recorded Friday afternoon.
My bad.
And I'll tell you what, quick, before the crunch time guys get in here, if we make it to 100 likes before they get here and we're only 10 away, we'll dish two more at 100 likes. Not just one Spidey bomb, but two.
And that's good game theory, because you fire off three, and like my math says, you got three guys swinging for homers, TJ. You got a better chance than the Twitter account. Did Spidey predict it correctly or whatever? What's the handle? I forgot it already. Was Spidey Bomb right? Was Spider-Man good?
Yeah, but I mean, let's not expose me here, Dean. Let's just gloss over that and keep talking.
Well, I mean, 1 for 3 is still really good. Like
that's true. That's true.
If you're betting stuff like that in Vegas and you're going 1 for 3 in homers every single night, like I know Grant was doing his turd bombs, and like if he goes 1 for 3, that's a really good night.
Honestly, I think Grant and I should have a conversation where we get some type of graphic built up, where I early in the day look at the home run odds, and I'll put my Spidey bombs up against his turd bombs, and we should have a little week-long home run competition.
Jose in chat's calling Aguiar and Torres. It says Spidey bombs. Those are on the record officially. Third base.
Once NBA season comes around, I'm gonna this trend, because if Grant can do it and TJ could do it, I'm gonna do blender buckets for NBA season.
Guys are going to
make a one player that's guaranteed to score a bucket.
Okay, that's almost as
useful as score a bucket.
He's going to score a bucket, right? It's like okay, LeBron. That's my blender bucket bomb of the going to score at least one field goal.
There you go. That I could see that being useful for sure, definitely. That's as useful as saying that the best guy to homer today is Aaron Judge. Although the bucket guys are actually
chance that he doesn't home run. I mean, LeBron is starting for the Lakers. It's very unlikely he scores 0 points.
Yeah. Yeah. Are you going to pick Tony Snell? Are you going to be ambitious or no?
No. Who picks Tony Snell for that? No, of course. I picked the most. Nikola Jokic, blender bucket bomb. There you go. Doubled, approved by the Better Business Bureau, the Triple B, the blender bucket bomb.
TJ, what do you got as far as shortstop?
Well, obviously, with no more Trey Turner, things get a little tough, because that was my favorite spot at the position. But I talked about liking these Blue Jays a little bit more, and Bo Bichette is the hottest hitter in baseball right now. So I'm interested in him. Francisco Lindor I like quite a bit. Carlos Correa is in a great spot against Greinke, who can't strike anybody out. And Corey Seager I really like as well. To me, this is it's a really strong position today, and I'm not going to be looking to punt it. I'm going to be looking to pay up Carlos Correa, Bobby Witt Jr., Corey Seager. Heck, even if you want to play Xander Bogaerts as opposed to Bichette or Lindor, I'm good with that. So I think we got so many good high-priced guys that's where I want to go today. If you're punting, I think it's Oswaldo Cabrera or Nick Gordon, but for me, it's a pay-up spot.
Outfield, I saw somebody ask earlier, Stanton versus Adolis Garcia raw points. Like when you factor in ownership, that's just my decision, and not knowing the rest of your lineup. Of course, it's lineup. It's not players. It's lineups. But I think Garcia, when Stanton, especially on Fanduel, is going to be so heavily owned, and somebody in chat's talking about how he's not been great since coming back, and he's also facing Bayo, who's more of a ground ball guy for what it's worth. But I think Garcia is the better tournament play if everything else is equal. What say you here, TJ, especially on Fanduel where Stanton, we talk about the goofy prices over there. He's 2.7, which is pretty egregious. Not that salary matters a ton necessarily because there's not a lot of it's easy to make stuff work over there. And we're not paying for DeGrom either. What do you have as far as outfield?
Yeah, so I think the most common build you're going to see, especially on FanDuel today in the outfield, is Aaron Judge and then two cheapies like probably very specifically Giancarlo Stanton and Austin Hayes. If people aren't playing Hayes, it'll probably be somebody like a Wayne Thomas, Joey Gallo, Trace Thompson. All of those are fine plays. I think like some pay up options like Garcia, Jake McCarthy, Dalton Varsho, all of those are strong plays. I have no issues with any of them, but my favorite of the group is Adolis Garcia. Anthony Santander is another guy in a great spot who is nice and cheap. And George Springer is a tournament play I like quite a bit.
TJ, the player or stack that you're most afraid of like being less than the field, who is that?
Corbin Burns, because I'm playing one lineup, and I think he is the player on the slate that will not be in my lineup that is most capable of breaking a slate. I wouldn't be as worried about that if I was running 150 because I'd have a little bit of them. But playing one lineup, the player I'm most afraid of is Corbin Burns, and we're 2 likes away from a Spidey bomb. So make sure you from the double Spidey bomb. And J3 asking in the YouTube chat, has TJ ever been to the US? Yes, I just got back from Chicago the day before yesterday.
Yeah, you were at the Fanduel Live final. We talked about that yesterday. You finished well. You were well placed, 15, 16 overall. Does that sound about right?
16th place. It bounced up and down. I picked the right pitcher, but under the field on Coors hurt. But it was a nice finish.
Yeah, Coors did its thing. I believe Big T had a Coors stack with his winner, and second place was Squirrel Patrol, who had a Dodger stack that I thought for sure he was going to take it down. He was well positioned with a bunch of players innings remaining, however you want to say that, PIR, I suppose, technical term. But he just did not get that one big at bat. But I think he's going to be okay. I think we would win 250K, I think. So
yeah, and I mean that literally the next we're watching the Sunday, right? Is the like we're all watching football and stuff like that. He qualified for a DK seat in football week 1 while we were there at the live final. So squirrel's gonna squirrel.
I think last count, I know he ran 51 live final appearances or something like that. Live final tickets, however you want to say it. That's
I think this was his 72nd ticket.
Oh, okay. So I'm wrong. I didn't carry the one. I thought I heard 51, but my bad.
I'm pretty sure it's in the 70s.
Yeah, whatever it is, it's a good bit. What do you have there, Blender, as far as is there a player? Is there a stack? Is there somebody you're most
He's in chat right now at 74.
my bad, Squirrel. Oh, geez. So he's.
I got one on Monday night too, so I was right. It was 72 while we were there, and then he got his 73rd on Sunday and his 74th on Monday.
Did I not hear on a podcast somebody said 51 recently? Maybe I'm just making that up. Maybe that was with the podcast he did with JM, or maybe it's possible I mixed it up. My bad. I'm slating him 23 live final tickets, whatever it is. But congratulations, Squirrel. Second place. Phenomenal finish. And Christie, I think, was top 20, top 30, something like that as well. So RG was well represented. I'm waiting for the Crunch Time crew to come in. I'm trying to buy some time now, Blender. Did you give me a player or a team?
I got some interesting information for you.
Oh,
using my tool.
An hour into the show, you finally got something that's worth
yes, I'm fine. Well, because I reran because with this Dodgers lineup, I had to rerun everything. And as far as one-offs. Like I'm just running lineup correlations to see what, if you're going to play, let's say you're playing 5-1-1-1 type lineups on DraftKings, or you're playing 5-2-1, or so you're using a one-off. If you want to get different, don't play the common one-off. So like I'm trying to figure out based on all the different stacks, what's the most common one-offs at each position. And from the looks of it, the most popular combination of pitchers will be Peterson and Burns.
Sure.
The most common one-offs at first base will be Ryan Mountcastle and Seth Brown.
Yeah.
The most used one-off at second is Semien and Taylor. The most used at third is Muncy. The most used one-off at shortstop is Correa. And the two most used one-offs in the outfield will be Aaron Judge and Jake McCarthy. This is if you're using the bat projections. So even though Judge's ownership is going to be high just because where else are you spending the money? So like to me, that's what I'm looking for. And I'm looking to now create groups so I don't get these combinations. Because if I'm going to run, let's say, a Dodgers stack, like I don't mind having Muncy and Taylor in a Dodgers stack, but do I want to have a Judge one-off? Do I want to have a Mountcastle one-off? Do I want to have Peterson and Burns together? No, I want to get slightly different from people that will have those types of stacks, especially in smaller field contests. And maybe instead of playing a 20% owned one-off, I'm playing a 3% owned one-off that projects from maybe 0.2, 0.3 points lower than that. So that's the usefulness of the tools for the people that are now bored to death of them.
And as we got the crunch time guys in here and enough likes for the double Spidey Bombs special, Mountcastle's obviously way higher owned now that we lost Freeman. And so figured I'd give two more on top of just Mountcastle, and they're going to be Vlad Guerrero Jr. as well as Nathaniel Lowe.
Bringing in the crunch time crew, Chief Meteorologist Kevin Roth. Are you still, Roth, you still in San Fran or no? Your voice is off. Roth?
His voice is in San Fran.
No, I just got back. Yeah, I just got back like 20 minutes ago. So I am here, sadly, back in Houston.
All right, you jet lagged. You welcome back. Thankfully, no weather to have you scrambling. Last I checked, I think we're good to go, right?
Yeah, it's all clear in the weather department, so we're good.
Dave, how much are you scrambling as far as your lineups? I mean, I guess we kind of we talked about maybe seeing this coming. When a team clinches, you get something goofy as far as the Dodgers. Are you scrambling over there as far as your lineups?
Yeah, I told our producer behind the scenes I'm not going to be screen sharing today because I'm going to be moving a bunch of lineups. I mean, we didn't know for sure what it was going to be, but I didn't. When it's this far before the playoffs, I mean, I didn't have any idea what they were going to do. But I still like these Dodgers.
Yeah, Blender was talking about possible one-offs in the outfield. I think Taylor might, get some elevation there leading off, and another one is probably for Baltimore, Austin Hayes. Some pinch hit risk there for somebody when Mullins enters the game if this game is close and late. How about yourself, Keith? Are you scrambling or are you good to go as far as the Dodgers?
I think I've just about got everything adjusted, but a couple more to go. But yeah, I think it definitely changes the dynamics of the slate because one of the most expensive stacks is now really cheap and still in a great spot. So definitely changes some things up.
And we'll talk about this. The very random thing that this does is makes me like the Diamondbacks more. I'm being totally serious because it tells me they're not going to bring in their better bullpen guys. If they're resting their starters, why not rest their bullpen? I think this matters.
If it's a save situation, you don't think they bring out their closer?
I'm not talking about a save situation. I'm talking about they've got a 3 or 4 inning starter. I'm talking about innings 5, 6, 7, 8.
That's a good point. Yeah,
there's a whole lot between starter and closer.
Yeah, and if we're talking closer anyway, your Diamondback stack is probably dead anyways because they're down by 3 or something. That is a good point. Myself and Blender, we're good to go. We're out of here. TJ, you got anything else for the boys, or shall we step aside?
Let's step aside and let these guys do what they do.
That's TJ. That's Blender. I was Dean. Hit that like button. Stick around to the end of the show. Chief Meteorologist Kevin Roth is going to tell you the Crunch Time show, sponsored by Fanduel. It starts right now. Roth, take it over.
It does indeed. Appreciate it, gentlemen. Dino, as always. Was that a question? He was like, hit that like button? Hit that like button? Hit that like button because this is free content and it's coming to you from the one and only FanDuel, sponsoring the show. By the way, if you are unaware, sign up for the FanDuel Sportsbook in a legal sports betting state. Take advantage of the no sweat first bet It's up to 1K. Terms and conditions apply. Check out rotogrinders.com/reviews for more info. They're doing good things. They're giving you free money, and they're getting the show on for free. So I certainly appreciate them. And I appreciate these two gentlemen as well. One, Mr. Dave Potts, a.k.a. Cheese is Good. How are you, Cheese?
Oh, I'm good. Welcome home to you. We're glad to see you wherever you may be.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here. On the way home, stopped by a little diner, got a cheeseburger, got the hand-cut fresh fries, and a milkshake. Vanilla milkshake.
That sounds fantastic.
And I'm still just sipping this milk. It's so good. Yeah, it's wonderful. We got Ice as well. Ice, how are you doing, man?
Good. Winding down this baseball season. We've got football rolling into the weekend, obviously. So exciting time. Lots of money to be won out there. Love this time of year.
It is. And I saw, I don't know if this is accurate. Did I see a tweet that basketball starts in like 3 weeks? Is that preseason or is that the real deal?
Yeah, that's I believe it might be the preseason. I think the preseason kicks off at the end of September. So the regular season is definitely sometime in October, though.
Gotcha. Okay. It's coming up right around the corner. All good things.
NHL in October.
NHL.
Well.
Love it. Love it. Best time of year. Okay. Well, guys, there is no weather to discuss, so I am off the hook. I'm going to sip this. It's so good. I forgot how good it was that I was talking about, and then I had another sip. It's so good. So I'm going to enjoy this vanilla shake. And Cheese, you tell us a little bit about this slate.
Okay. So really, it is wildly different with this Dodgers lineup because that was kind of the chalk was going to be Baltimore, the Dodgers, Judge, and Stanton. We have a very narrow sort of pitching chalk pool. I mean, there's some pitching to talk about, but there's like David Peterson chalk. It's weird chalk night is what it is. But now because you take these Dodgers out, I think that also shoots Corbin Burns way up the ownership charts because of how easy it is to fit. Even if you want to start with Burns and Judge, it's really easy now. So I think your chalk has shifted a little bit, even on the pitching side because of this Dodger stuff.
Okay, this Dodgers stuff, I feel like I'm the only one who missed it. What, a lot of their high-priced bats aren't hitting?
Basically, they're not playing. Freeman's out, Trey Turner's out, Mookie Betts is out. So they went from really expensive to really cheap.
But they also went from like really good to presumably the people who they're putting in are not really good.
Right. But so regardless, if you had Betts, Freeman, and Turner, regardless of whether you're still stacking the Dodgers, you're saving money. The pivots everywhere are cheap. The pivots aren't necessarily all to Dodgers.
I see.
But the pivots save you money and you're just left with, well, I may as well play Burns.
Gotcha. Okay. That makes sense.
So with the pitching here, the chalk is almost certainly David Peterson, which, as I alluded to in the survey, it's weird chalk. It's not necessarily bad chalk, and I don't think it is bad chalk. I like him and I like the matchup, but it's weird chalk. And then starting on FanDuel, Peterson and Burns will make up like the vast majority of everything. You go 82 with Peterson, or now that you don't have these Dodgers, it's really easy to spend up on Burns. Mm-hmm. So anything cheaper than that, like I don't think Dane Dunning will be popular anymore. I honestly don't like him anyway. I still like Ross Stripling, and now he'll be like 2% owned just because you don't need to play him. As I'm shifting lineups around now, my favorite thing to do is just leave a bunch of salary. You do not need to spend all this salary, and in fact, it's almost a bad idea to spend it because you have the same lineup as everyone else. You have Burns, you have Judge, you have Correa, and you have some Orioles. Okay. Don't we all? I like Peterson and Burns. I'm fine eating the chalk at pitching if you're not playing the same bats as everyone. If you want to play the same bats as everyone, my favorite pivot is Ross Stripling. I'm also going to throw in a little bit of Drew Rasmussen. Just because of how well he's been pitching recently, but I don't really officially like him either. So basically, I think it's good chalk. I think Peterson Burns is good chalk. The more interesting, weird discussion is on DraftKings, where we have the Patrick Corbin, who the bat, of course, likes. The bat always likes Patrick Corbin. He's only 5,300, but the thing is now you just don't need a $5,300 pitcher at all. So you're kind of looking at playing Corbin and leaving salary on the table, which for me is a non-starter. I have 0 Corbin. I don't think you're crazy to play him, but it's just you just don't need that salary, and I don't like him or trust him enough. I don't think you need to go any lower than Dane Dunning, although I'm still enough of a Brian Bayo truther that I have a couple Bayo lineups. But really, you can spend on Burns and Peterson as the chalk combo and have plenty of ways to get different. So that's what I prefer to do.
Okay, very good. I would get Ice's take, but I do not see Ice. So
yeah, so tournament things that I'll throw out there, I am dubious on Sonny Gray. I don't know if I'm using the word dubious correctly. The Twins and their pitch counts is just so nonsensical, but like they let him go 90 every once in a while, and at 90 pitches, Sonny Gray against the Royals is still okay. And Keith is back. He just went to San Francisco, and then he came back, and here he is. Keith, we mentioned David Peterson and Corbin Burns. I'll let you take it from there. If you are in fact here.
Yeah, sorry about that. I am here, I believe. So right when my internet cut out, I heard you saying some things about the Dodgers and how that changes the slate. And that's exactly where I'm at. I was prepared to completely fade Corbin Burns in this tough matchup and play some really weird, cheap things. But now with no Dodgers, it's a lot easier to pay up for him. And I need to be more confident that these cheap guys can at least put up a score similar to Burns instead of kind of changing my lineup construction and beating him point per dollar at pitcher and then paying up for the elite offenses. So still working through that a little bit. I still don't love Burns because of this matchup. David Peterson, I do love. I'll be over the field on him. This Cubs lineup has a ton of strikeouts in it. No Nico Horner, no Nick Madrigal in the Cubs lineup, who are the low strikeout guys. They have Chris Morel leading off, who's a high strikeout guy. Collective K rate of the lineup is 32% against lefties this year. So just a massive upside spot for David Peterson. And then like I'll use Burns in some just because I don't want to end up leaving like $3,000 on the table. But where I do need some savings, like Dane Dunning has a great matchup against the A's. Definitely interested in him. Not a huge strikeout guy, but the matchup is terrific. Sonny Gray against the Royals. They don't really let him go deep into games, so not in love with that either. I think Drew Smyly is fine on the other side of the Mets game just because it's a good ballpark. Smyly has at times flashed some strikeout upside this year. Like he had 8 against San Francisco, 6 against St. Louis. Like those aren't the easiest of matchups. So he still has a little bit of upside in there, even though I don't love this matchup against the Mets. Like I just don't need the savings to go down there as much as I did an hour ago. And again, like not needing the savings any longer, I did have some interest in Brian Bayo and Patrick Corbin even. Corbin is really cheap. He still has some strikeout upside despite his hard contact issues. The Orioles are definitely worse against lefties. They strike out more against lefties. And Bayo has actually been really good his last couple of times out. Difficult matchup with the Yankees, but a really great pitching prospect and somebody who kind of seems to be figuring it out here. So I don't need to take as many shots on those guys at the bottom as I was planning to today. But I do still like them. I still want to pay up for some expensive stuff in Toronto. I don't mind some expensive Boston bats. There's some Yankees bats. So I still will have a little bit of those guys, but far less than I had probably an hour ago before the Dodgers lineup came up.
Okay, good stuff. Let's talk about some of the stacks. And I don't know if I guess the Dodgers is chalk now or no. The Dodgers was going to be chalk and now it's not because they're not good anymore.
They're still pretty good, but it's not chalk now. I would say the Orioles were always going to be popular. Mm-hmm. And then I don't know if I want to say the Yankees stack is popular, but Judge and Stanton are popular. And then kind of same thing with the Twins and the Rangers. Like, I'm not sure that full stacks are really overly popular anywhere, but you'll have a lot of Adolis Garcia and Marcus Semien. You have a lot of Carlos Correa with maybe like Miranda or Gary Sanchez on DK. Basically, I don't think any full stacks other than Baltimore are super popular right now. I think it's more individual players.
Then that's easy enough. I do want to talk some stacks. So Ice, if there's no overwhelming chalk, maybe other than Baltimore, what are you playing? You got your pick of the litter.
Yeah, Baltimore's in a great spot, so I still want to play some of them, even if I am playing some Corbin. The Dodgers I like just as much as I did, just because they're cheap. The problem is you can't play Burns and Peterson with a cheap Dodgers stack, because that's what everybody's going to do. So the way I will play the Dodgers is I'll forego Burns in those lineups and pay down to somebody like Dunning or Smiley, and then just pay for the expensive one-offs. Like if I go Peterson and Dunning with a Dodger stack, I can absolutely fit Judge and Stanton in that lineup. I can fit like a Vlad Guerrero and Bo Bichette in that lineup. So I'll build like that rather than playing Corbin Burns with them. Texas is in a good spot against a left-hander. Really like Adolis Garcia. Marcus Semien also in a great spot. I like both sides of the Yankees and Boston game. Mentioned playing some Bayo, but obviously against the Yankees, that could go either way there. Judge has been on an absolute tear. And Stanton is coming back. He's like free on FanDuel. The team that I like that's off the board is Minnesota against Greinke, who just doesn't strike anybody out. Some good bets in this Minnesota lineup, and there should be plenty of contact there against Greinke.
Cheese, any stacks you want to add to that?
I really don't super love any full stacks. That's not to say I'm not playing them, but if I'd known what this Dodgers lineup was before I built all these lineups and I wasn't on this show, I probably wouldn't have much in the way of full stacks. It's more mini stacks for me. I guess I'm going to say Texas and Arizona. But I don't love full stacks. I love certain bats.
Okay, well then let's talk about the certain bats. Cheese, lead us off with a little catcher talk here. We'll go around the horn.
I do like Will Smith on FanDuel, and I like Adley Rutschman on FanDuel. I kind of don't even mind Gary Sanchez on FanDuel. And then salary-wise, it's barely a thing on DK. But if it is, I like Gary Sanchez as the cheap guy. I like Rutschman and Smith. And then I don't want to forget spending up to be different with Sal Perez. He's one of my favorite kind of off the board options.
Okay. Ice catcher.
Yeah, that's pretty much my pool as well. Will Smith is the top player at the position here. Don't mind the Rutschman pivot. One other guy, Jonah Heim in a Ranger stack is certainly fine. We don't need the salary as much now. But he has still hit lefties well. Both of the Royals guys are great for tournaments as well. Sal Perez and MJ Melendez.
Okay, take me to first.
All right. So Ryan Mountcastle is probably the chalkiest play here. He's just underpriced. He's hitting third for the Orioles with a great matchup against Corbin Burns. Vlad Guerrero is certainly great. Pete Alonso is certainly great. And we have plenty of money now to spend up and get these guys. Seth Brown is another guy who's in the middle of the lineup and really cheap, as is Luke Voigt and Jose Miranda. So there's a couple of different ways you can go at first here. The range right around the 3K is really strong. And then there's some excellent pay up options with Vlad and Pete Alonso as well.
Cheese?
Yeah, it's great. I love everything at first base. I think Mountcastle would maybe be the top play, even if he wasn't cheaper. Alonso is my preferred spend up. Jose Miranda is my preferred salary saver. But then, you mentioned Vlad. I think Christian Walker's an off the board play. I'll stop there and say those are my favorites, but there's there's a lot to like. You know what? I can't even not mention Paul Goldschmidt because you have money to goof around, and he's still not popular.
Okay. Second base, Cheese.
Marcus Semien is kind of the spend-up guy. I don't think Chris Taylor on DK is really popular anymore, but I do like him. With salary not being the thing anymore, I don't think like the Mark Mathias and Michael Massey's are going to be so popular anymore, and I still kind of like playing them and leaving salary. And then on FanDuel, I think with the Max Muncy price, that's another, like if you're playing him and maxing out salary, you have like a really chalky lineup. So I like Muncy leaving salary more than I like just playing Burns, Judge, Correa, Alonso, and then, hey, Muncy fits. But he's certainly the best points per dollar play.
Okay. Ice, second.
Yeah, Semien in a great spot leading off against the lefty. I'm with Cheese. I'm going to play some Mathias still. I mean, this is a guy that hit 2 home runs yesterday. Probably not going to do that again today. But there's some upside there, certainly. Good matchup for him. Gleyber Torres, one of my favorite guys. He's hitting third for the Yankees tonight. Both of the Diamondbacks guys as well. Ketel Marte in the 5th spot and Josh Rojas leading off.
Excellent. Take me to third.
All right. Muncy has third base eligibility as well on FanDuel and only third base on DraftKings. Certainly one of the top options here. Josh Young is still really cheap. One of the Rangers' top prospects has been hitting the ball really well since he came up about a week ago and now gets a platoon advantage against a lefty. I like Ramon Urias in a Baltimore stack. Bobby Witt as a one-off. Certainly don't mind him. Plenty of power and speed there. He can put up a bunch of fantasy points. Rojas has third base eligibility as well. And Josh Donaldson for the Yankees, like him as well.
Okay. Cheese.
So on FanDuel, you have a lot of positions you can kind of mess around with. So Max Muncy and Jose Miranda, I would say, are my 2 favorites, but you can play them elsewhere. Donaldson is also super cheap, although I don't really like him outside of stacks, and I don't even love the stacks. I think Ramon Urias is probably my favorite kind of random mid-rangey guy. And then there's a whole bunch of just really good players that even on a weird small slate don't get played. Arenado's one of them, and Matt Chapman's one of them. So if you're multi-entering, keep those guys in the pool.
Okay. Shortstop.
So with Trey Turner out, Carlos Correa is now the chalk, which I don't like because I was like, he was my top play. He wasn't going to be sneaky, but Turner is going to really add to his ownership, as well as like Seager and Lindor and Bogarts and Bichette. Those guys, especially like Bogarts and Bichette, would have been just completely forgotten. I still think they'll be pretty off the board, and I like them if you don't want to just eat the Correa chalk. We're showing ownership on Corey Seager. I don't think that's really going to be there. He'll be played in Texas stacks, but not really on his own, just because people see the lefty and I can't do that, but you can.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Ice. What do you like in mid third?
Shortstop. Yep. Yeah, Correa is the top play here. Unfortunately, he is going to be popular now. Great matchup against Greinke, who isn't going to strike him out. I love Bichette as a pivot. Really like the Seager lefty call. Agree that he doesn't get too popular here. Jorge Mateo, I think, is an excellent way to differentiate Baltimore stacks. He's batting 9th, but he's like leading the league in stolen bases. He's got a little bit of power. So even though he's way down in the order, I certainly don't mind him in this matchup with Corbin. And then, I mean, any of the other top end guys are great. Bogarts, Lindor, Bichette, Adames. Lots of great options at the top at shortstop.
Okay. Take me to the outfield, and then we got plenty of time for some QQs after that.
Yeah, this guy, Aaron Judge, just keeps doing his thing. Incredible season for him. Obviously, play him anytime. Adolis Garcia for the Rangers, one of my favorite options. Stanton as well, and the price is wildly different. Over 5K on DK, under 3K on FanDuel. So he will have plenty of ownership on FanDuel, and even on DK he'll get a little bit of ownership, but certainly chalk on FanDuel. I love the Baltimore guys. Santander would be my favorite option. You have Hayes leading off and McKenna down in the order as well. So I do really like the bottom of this Baltimore lineup, which will, like, the top of the order is going to be probably the most chalky thing on the slate outside of Peterson and Burns. But certainly don't mind going to the bottom of that order to get a little bit different. The Diamondbacks guys are okay. I don't really love the price on Varsho, but he's probably their best hitter. McCarthy is going to be plenty popular in the middle of the order with his cheap price. So I would say Corbin Carroll a little bit further down the order is my favorite option in the Diamondbacks outfield. Definitely like Bellinger and Gallo for the Dodgers. Yeah, I think that about does it.
Okay, Cheese, your favorites in the outfield?
I'm going to say they're not Aaron Judge and Giancarlo Stanton. I mean, by all means, play Judge and Stanton, right? Sure. Anytime. But Bayo is so actually really good. Even when he gets beat with walks and ground balls. Like, he hasn't given up a home run since Little League, and I doubt he gave one up there. They can still hit home runs off him and or the bullpen. But as mega chalk, I honestly don't love him. I think Adolis Garcia is the chalk that I do like, and he's probably going to end up as my highest owned player, which I don't know if that's good or bad or otherwise, but that's what it is. And then I'm really mixing and matching a bunch of stuff now. I'm still playing a lot of Dodgers in the outfield. I'm playing Gallo, Bellinger, and Taylor, and Trace Thompson a pretty good bit. I am playing that Diamondbacks group that Keith was talking about. All the Orioles are great everywhere. Seth Brown, pretty high on my list. Really, it's not great. The outfield is really kind of just, it's fine, but it's leaving me a bunch of salary on the table because there's so few guys even up there at all. Like Arozarena and Nimmo and guys like that. This is not thrilling to spend up for. Christian Yelich, it's fine. But I'm just as happy with cheaper stuff. And as I'm fixing these Dodgers lineups, I just have like 1,000+ left in every lineup, and I'm just leaving it.
Okay. Let's take some of these QQs, and I want to start, speaking of the Dodgers, from a question. Yep, that's me. It says, Cheese, are you concerned at all with the Dodgers clinching the division last night and having the hangover? This is hangover narrative going on. Apologize if this has already been mentioned. We did not discuss. Are they too hungover to play?
No.
Ice?
Like, let me just say, in actual real, I think if you don't think that major league players who would be hungover after clinching aren't also hungover other nights, you're not really thinking about it.
Great points.
Yeah. All right. So we're not fading the hangover. Good to know. Let's see what else we got here. Ice, this question is for you. Rasmussen or Gray FanDuel GPP?
I prefer Rasmussen today.
Excellent. Cheese, if I fade Judge in cash, do I just automatically lose?
You don't. I mean, I think you should play him in cash just because of how much you have the salary, but no, like, I don't think you automatically lose.
All right. Scrolling up just a wee bit here. Let's talk about pinch hit risk here, Cheese, for the Dodgers. We got a bunch of randos in, bunch of stars out. Is there going to be more swapping? Are the stars coming back in?
I would assume no. I mean, I don't have any idea, and he's not going to tell us. But no, I'm playing it as if there is no pinch hit risk at all, because there are no bad players left behind them. So the only way they pinch hit is to bring Freeman and Turner and Betts back in, and my guess is they don't do it. So I'm playing it as if there's no pinch hit risk.
Okay.
Yeah, I completely agree. Like, they're just punting this game. Like, they clinched the division. It's their celebration. and they're just going to let the guys who are out there play. I completely agree.
Okay, great. FanDuel Cash from NBA DFS. Ice, you want Seager and Santander or Hayes and Garcia?
Sorry, was that Cash?
It was, yeah. It was Seager, Santander, or Hayes, Garcia. FanDuel Cash.
Give me Hayes Garcia.
Very nice. DK Cash, Cheese, Smith, or our boy Rutschman?
In cash, I think you play Smith.
But if you were doing it, you would play Rutschman, wouldn't you?
Absolutely, yes.
Yes. Okay, home run call of the night. Cheese, you got a bomb call for me?
Jose Miranda.
Ice, you got a home run call for me?
I will go. How about Corbin Carroll?
I don't even know who that is, but okay, I approve of that being off the
And
board.
yet he's not wrong.
Yeah, excellent. Good stuff. Okay, MT Red Sox, great question here. Ice, if Peterson is weird chalk, and Cheese, you mentioned he's weird chalk, not
exactly what
bad chalk, but he's weird chalk, and the Cubs just beat up on DeGrom and Bassett, then are the Cubs getting overlooked? Ice?
Their lineup today just like they have to hit a bunch of home runs in a park that's really hard to hit home runs in. I mean, I don't think anybody's playing them, so yeah, they're getting overlooked. I'm on the side that is also overlooking them.
Right. Cheese, any
like
additional
nobody's
thoughts?
playing them.
You can play a couple Cubs. I just want, and I don't mind the way that question is worded. I'm not saying anything about it. I just want to point out, like, how great is DeGrom that he can go 6 innings with 3 runs and 10 strikeouts, and that counts as him getting shelled.
Yeah.
Like, he's so good. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, that's his worst start. Unbelievable.
Right. Yeah, that's pretty good. All right, DK single entry. Cheese, your best one-off regardless in the outfield. Your best one-off regardless of price.
In the outfield,
That's
it's
a great
Adolis,
question because
Adolis
you've got all the
Garcia.
money. Okay, yeah. Garcia?
Yep.
Very good. All right. FanDuel GPP. Any interest in a Met stack? Ice? You got a Met stack?
I don't mind it. Like I mentioned with the Cubs, it's a tough ballpark, and Smiley has actually been pretty good here recently. But I mean, there's certainly plenty of talent in that Mets offense. I would stack Mets before I stack Cubs.
Okay. Tom says DK Cash Cheese. I've got Peterson. Who's the best SP2?
Well, Burns. But if you don't have money to spend up, I personally would play Stripling.
Okay. Very nice. FanDuel GPP. Ice. I'm leaving money. The last man in, Stanton or C. Taylor?
I mean, Stanton's going to be so much higher owned. I think I'd go Taylor.
Very good. Okay. DK Cash question, Cheese. This one's coming to you. Jake McCarthy or Belly? Also, Belly or Gallo?
That's all very close. I think I would play McCarthy.
Okay. FanDuel Cash, Ice, Adolis Hayes or Seager Stanton in cash?
I mean, I think you have to have Stanton in cash just because everyone's going to have him, and he could absolutely burn you with 2 home runs. So I guess the second one there, like I would not try to fade Stanton in cash on FanDuel.
Okay. Great. Aside says FanDuel Cash. This one's coming to Cheese. Adolis and Miranda or Chris Taylor and Alonso. Adolis and Miranda. Miranda was your home run pick, and Adolis was your favorite play in the outfield. So I assume that's it.
It is. Those are arguably my 2 favorite plays on the whole slate.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. Any love for Gray in DK Cash? Ice?
I mean, cash, it's pretty obvious Peterson and Burns for me. So no.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Cheese, Simeon Brown or Taylor Garcia? This is DK Cash from BHB.
Taylor Garcia.
Okay, guys, we got about 4 minutes left. We still got some QQs coming in. If you're watching this on YouTube, hit that like button. Hit the subscribe button as well. DK's single entry ice. You want Varsho, Gary Sanchez, or Rutschman and Hayes? Parentheses, I'm stacking Texas.
I'd go with the Baltimore guys there, the second one.
Okay. I love this question from NBA DFS. Is it okay to leave money on the table, Cheese, in FanDuel cash? I get it in GPPs because you're trying to be different, but in cash, I typically use most of it. Tonight, I seem to be coming up with $600 to $800 left.
Yeah, I think you almost probably should be leaving money in cash. I think that's totally okay.
Okay.
Such a weird
generally no.
Yeah, it's rare. It's rare that you leave, upwards of $1,000 on FanDuel, but tonight it's very doable.
Okay, great. Gregorius, DK GPP last outfielder ice. You want Anderson or Smithson? Thanks, guys.
I don't believe those are real players.
Anderson's not a real person. That's Smithson.
There might be Anderson. There's no Smiths. No.
Yeah,
I'm trying to think if there's an Anderson in the starting lineup tonight. You would think there would be, but I don't think there is on this slate.
Okay. Yeah. When I saw it,
Smithson. They'll always play Smithson if that's one you're on.
Yeah. I was like, I don't know that name, but all right, let's go. You see, now we're just once this happens once, then I can't focus on it. Like this next name, Mark Vientos is the viable.
That's actually a very real name.
That's good. But now every single name I'm going to be questioning it. Is Mark Vientos viable in DK Cash as a shortstop punt, or just go get Correa?
In cash, go get Correa, right? There's so many ways to save.
I did love Vientos today before, like when we needed money and salary savers, he was in my pool for sure. He's a pretty good prospect for the Mets, and he's batting fifth. But cash games, you want Correa, I think.
Definitely have Vientos in your tournament pool for sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Jumping on over to the YouTube here. We got about a minute or 2 minutes left here. Okay, here we go. Kid Catastrophe says, Cheese, leave money with Mountcastle, 3-man stack at the util, or spend up for Vlad Correa, FanDuel GPP. That was kind of a confusing question. Did you get it?
Leave the salary, play Mountcastle.
Very nice. Jose says, cash, Stanton or Laureano. Ice, you got to play Stanton and cash, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. FanDuel single entry, Cheese, Peterson and Vladdy, or Sonny Gray and Adolis Garcia?
The Peterson side.
Okay. Green says, hey, do you think, this is an interesting question, do you think Wainwright will boom or bust in his fourth Milwaukee matchup, and can I play him in FanDuel cash?
I don't understand. Like Peterson has as good of a matchup as you could possibly ask for in an outstanding pitcher's park. Like that's just kind of like safety isn't a word we like to use, but that's a pretty safe matchup. I don't know why people are not comfortable with that in cash.
Okay. Yeah. In cash, just do the best play.
Yeah, so you play Peterson.
Yeah. I would say you cannot play Wainwright in cash. No.
Okay. All right.
That's my answer.
All right, coming up on the lock very, very quickly here. DK Cash, Santander or Garcia? Cheese?
Garcia.
DK Cash, Alberto or McKenna?
I would go McKenna there.
Okay.
Yeah, those are real.
I don't even know these names. I'm glad it's locked. I hate this game. I hate when people do fake names. It's only funny if you get me with a really unique, funny one. Like that's actually funny if you get me to say something stupid. Other than that, all right. Hey, guess what? We hit the lock, guys. It's good work. Feel good about what we've accomplished?
I feel good about what we accomplished as a show. As far as my lineups, I don't have a clue in the world what's in any of these nonsense lineups other than they all have $2,000 left, and they're completely random.
Grabbing things and throwing it, seeing what sticks, essentially.
Yeah, but I actually like that. Like that feels like what this slate is. It's just going to be just some random nonsense lineup with probably more than $2,000 left.
Right. Something wonky is going to win, and you got a lot of wonky.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm cheering for your wonkiness and very much so appreciative of all your hard work. So we're going to get out of here for Cheese and for Ice and for our wonderful production team, always working hard behind the scenes. Guys, we appreciate you. We love you. And we will catch you tomorrow. You have been crushed.